Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
Is the next search on February 28, 2020? 7:44 p.m. How does the FBI find people? And people is misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E. Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Oh, she found out.
Good morning. Good Thursday morning. I almost said Wednesday. I almost put us back on hump day. I'm sorry about that. We're having a fabulous day. I've been a little busy this morning because I've been setting up my cat cam, which is right here. My cat's currently in the window. The sunlight is shining so brightly in this. I'll have to fix this. My kids are jumping around and they're shaking it as well. So, okay. Let's see. Where are we? We are. Oh, not there. We're right here. That's where we are. Sorry. It's Friday Eve. Oh, it's Friday Eve. Thank you very much. And yes, that is a live shot of my kitty cat. That's Kiki, enjoying the sunlight, streaming in on the deck. Welcome this morning. Good to have you here. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. I'm not a camel. I'm not a camel. We might need my cat to stay there all day long, because if depends on how the court case goes today, we might need something, just relaxing to look at. But we'll keep an eye on the cat. And
I'm not a cat.
All right. The funny part about this is I've got like a 8-foot tripod set up in the middle of the front room to get that shot. And then I've got some wireless receivers, the transmitter receiver, powered over Ethernet. So I've got this. Also, I've got all my 59 new buttons working. They're right here. So this is what's controlling that camera over Ethernet as well. So it's really cool. Just a single cable and it all works.
I don't know who won.
But we'll do this. This is actually going to be a test for my wireless, my HDMI and SDI transmitter. It's working through like the Faraday cage of our wall, which is good. Yes, Rona, that is a live feed of our cat. It's my cat. I guess it's just hanging out. It's just chilling. And the funny thing is that ledge, the cat can barely fit on the ledge. It's like 2-3 inches wide. And
I'm not a camel.
That's where it sits. It's a little curved. It just likes to be able to look in and see everybody. But Pickles looks cold. Pickles isn't too cold.
I'm
I
not
don't
a
think.
cat.
Let me check. I have not been outside yet this morning. Let's see what.
I was kicked back,
Pickles
taking it
thinks.
easy.
If Pickles was cold, he'd go in his. Oh, it's 36 degrees. If he was cold, he would go in his heated cat house because he's a spoiled cat. All right. How do you keep up with all those buttons, Brenda? It was close. That's why I was late. I couldn't get the camera to move the way I wanted to. I'm like, why can I not control my camera? That's the whole purpose of having a pan-tilt zoom camera, so I can control it. And then I realized I had locked it on auto follow, so it tracks people around wherever it goes. I'm like, oh, that's wrong. So I unlocked it, and then it worked perfectly. All right. I love how your tech stuff says LB. I wish I knew how to work stuff like that. Looks like fun and awesome. Oh my goodness!
I don't know who won.
If I could just teach people how to use these fun toys all day, that would be such a blast. You know what I forgot? I forgot to first turn on chat, which is good because the first person in chat this morning was Carmen Does Stuff. Again, this is a three-peat. Carmen, congratulations. You have been first in chat again. You have won the internet. And I realize the time zone you are in benefits you a little bit because when I set up the camera early, you're still wide awake and everyone else is asleep. I think we set it up around 5:50 or so this morning is when the thumbnail went up. And you were on it within a minute. It was quiet for the first minute. I'll say that it was very quiet. But then everything came flooding in, came working just fine. Let's see. Oh man, Judge Middleton's up already. Wow, he's an early riser. Let's see. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. An hour ago, she got her live stream up. Great, Kathy. I haven't seen that yet. But looks like about 293 of you have. Hope that number goes up as well. Let's see. Let's get a couple things ready. We need birthdays. I know. Let's see. I saw somebody said they had a birthday here. I'm about to get a buffer sound. I know that. Let's see. Birthdays. Vicky says, thank you for saving me money on the GoPro. Opted for a better tripod for my Sony Cam. Excellent.
Somebody just sent me a video of roaches fighting.
I don't know who won. Let's see. I think it was Robin. Did Robin have a birthday today? Reverend Beasy. Yes, you and I believe Melanie as well. I think it was Melanie. Was up at like 3 a.m. looking to see if she could be first in chat.
I'm not a camel.
Let's see. Birthdays. Let's see. Melissa has a birthday today. Lego Memories, may I approach? Do you have to ask? I'm going to turn the sounds down just for a minute. We're going to get some... what was I doing? Guys, I'm having a senior moment here. It was something urgent. Oh, and I did shut off the J-Hatch timer, so I don't have that running right now. I've got this other feed coming in from my cat. At least I hope my cat's still there. Yes, it's still there. All right. I don't know who won. Let's see. Here we go. There's the buffer sound. That's what I was looking for. Buffer Josiah, Megan, Robin, and Melissa, right? Let's see. Happy birthday, Melissa. So let's see if I can get all these in a notepad. I take notes for my happy birthday song so I don't miss anybody because that would be awful. Melissa, Josiah. Josh, is it Josiah or Josiah? I think it's Josiah. Josiah, Megan, and Robin. Let's see. Kristen and wife are celebrating their 5th wedding anniversary today, and our youngest viewer is Luke, 1 week old today. Luke. Oh, Luke, you're probably still sleeping, but happy 1 week. Happy 1 week, Luke. Good to have the young ones. All right. I think, let's see. I think that's everybody. Let's go ahead and sing happy birthday. As always, this is not me singing a solo for you. If I would be mortified if that was the case, but that's not the case. What this is me leading the world's largest birthday choir, and it's all of you who are singing with me. So, if you sing loud, you may notice that your neighbors can hear you, but that's all right because you'll hear that they are singing too. Because everybody's invited here, and that would be great. So, what we're going to sing to is Melissa, Josiah, Megan, and Robin, all in one verse. Let's see, I think that's it's according to his daughter Courtney. Let's add Courtney to this as well. Sorry, it's hard to fit all the birthday things in. I hope I don't miss any. Linda, yes, the email address is on my about page of the YouTube. And the mods might put it in chat as well. It's MD, as in metal detecting, Recovery Addict at gmail.com. That'll get to me. All right, let's do the birthday thing. Warm up, everybody. La 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 la. That was good. That was a good one. And all right, I'm a tenor. I prefer soprano. Everyone, remember your part. Shoulders back, voices loud. Project, but blend your voices. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Melissa, Josiah, Megan, Robin, and Courtney. Happy birthday to you. That was pretty good. I got to say, I sort of got the chills when you guys all came in like that with the crescendo on the end, and then the cha-cha-cha just finished it off. That was a great one. I think of all the birthday songs that we have collectively sung together, that was probably in my top 5. It's my top 5 for sure. I heard somebody hit the high note and just held it, and that was beautiful. Be Kind Tiger, the harmony was incredible. Thank you. I love it. And somebody did like the third. It's different, but it sounded good today. It sounded really good. It went well. Shih Tzu Dad says, I was told to sing tenor today, 10 or 12 miles away. It sounded great from where I was. It sounded great. All right. There's, I think that's everything. To everyone who's celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday. Thank you so much for celebrating your special day and allowing us to celebrate with you. I realize there are a million places you could be, and places that will celebrate you and sing to you and bring you free pancakes even, like Denny's. But no, here you are with us with no pancakes. My apologies. I can't make that happen yet. Technology hasn't caught up to me to the point where I can telepathically send you pancakes over the airwaves. When it does, I will do it. But happy birthday. Thanks for being here with us. Hope we can make your day just a little bit better. Thank you so much. We also have a gifted membership first thing this morning. Gerda K gifted a membership. Thank you. We have a little bit of courtroom video available. Nothing happening. So this is our indication that we are just chilling. So we'll stay right here. We'll keep listening in case something does come across the airwaves. But we're going to listen quietly. All right. What else? Oh, tonight we have our podcast. The podcast is called Not Relevant Podcast because we talk about things that are not relevant to what we do every other day of the week. It's sort of a way that we let off a little bit of steam, get together, still hang out as friends, but talk about things that are a little lighter in topic than the heavy court cases. You know, typically, I mean, all day we sit around and talk about murder, and it's hard to explain that to somebody who's not a true crime fan. You're like, what did you do today? It's, well, I got together with a couple thousand of my closest friends. We discussed the latest murders, and that seems strange, but we all understand. But one thing you can invite your friends to is the podcast, which is a lighthearted. It's usually about an hour, a live podcast that is interactive, a lot like this is here, where you can chat with us. Oftentimes we'll do polls or ask for your feedback and things like that. Sometimes we have some call-ins there as well. So it's wonderful. Please join us tonight. That'll be 8 p.m. tonight on this channel, just like a regular live stream. It's just we call it a podcast. So, and that's with my good friend Thomas, who is Weather Watch, one of our great mods in chat as well. Thank you very much, Weather Watch. I've got a few things to add to the rundown, which I have not put in yet. I apologize. Pampered Glamper says, I turned orange. Yay. Congratulations on the 12 months, Pampered Glamper. That is exciting. And Angie gifted 5 memberships this morning as well. Whoa. The fire truck went by and the cat is no longer there. I'm not sure what happens. I'm not sure if there was some sort of correlation between those two, but it honked its horn really loud and then the cat was gone. Maybe the cat found a quieter place to rest. All right. I want smell-o-vision for pancakes. I tell you, let me see if I can get my kids bring me something. I want to show you a product that I do not recommend, and I usually don't do this, but I want to show you a product I do not recommend. Hang on one second. Okay, my son is getting me a product. Somebody, got a little bit of sound from court. Nothing exciting, but at least we have something. So somebody brought us some cool little treats, and they're these right here. It's a little bag, and it sounds yummy, right? This sounds like something delicious is inside. It says on it, Kellogg's Fruit Loops Gummies, naturally flavored. And the picture on it is, it looks amazing. And it's like these imagine like gummy worms with sugar on the outside, but they're in the shape of Fruit Loops. Okay, so they've got little holes in them, and they're the same color of Fruit Loops. And if you just smell the bag, it smells like you walked into the Fruit Loop factory. Okay. Now, you might think, why don't you recommend these? Those look amazing. My kids would love them. I would love them. What a fun treat to have. Well, here's the problem. Once you tear the bag open at the top and you expose the contents inside, it no longer smells like Fruit Loops. I would say maybe formaldehyde. I don't know. Something not good is what it smells like, and it's strong, but it's not good. And now some of you say, oh, yeah, but some cheeses don't smell good, but they taste delicious. Well, I tried it for your sake. I'm like, okay, I can get past the smell. Let me just pop a couple in my mouth and see how they are. And they're more like tear jerkers, if you guys know that type of candy. They're a sour. sour candy that still tastes like Fruit Loops. I don't know what they were thinking, or if this was just like a product that should not have been released and accidentally made it to the shelves. But this is no bueno in my book. I don't know if you guys see this on the shelves. You're welcome to try them. I'm not saying don't try them. Kellogg's makes great breakfast cereals. I've eaten them most of my life. But the Fruit Loop gummies that are naturally flavored, they taste like they're naturally flavored with formaldehyde, which does not taste natural at all to me. That's just my take. So here's another company that's not sponsoring me and probably never will. All right. On that note, we have Beth, member for 5 months. Yay. Thank you so much, Beth. Great to have you here. Also, Rebus's Kittens. I had an awkward conversation with a colleague during the quiz when I had to explain how I knew what a teardrop facial tattoo meant. Oh, the things we learn in the world of true crime. They tricked you. It's not breakfast. It's not. It's covered with sugar like you'd think breakfast should be, but it is not good. Peter Steele, you say preservative gas. It's like sometimes they put nitrogen, like in one of my millions of jobs, and one day I'll tell you about all the different jobs I've had in my life, but one of my millions of jobs I had in my life was at a water bottle packaging plant. And I found out a lot about the water that goes into the bottle and what happens with the bottles and what happens to the bottles before water goes into them and everything else. And I probably shouldn't share that with you because it might change your opinion on water bottles altogether. Let me just say we filled the truck up that had the water for the water bottles at a fire hydrant. Anyway, the part in here at the top that's not water, that little bit, the air, that's usually nitrogen gas. It's usually something like that. It's not just air because you can't have things growing in there, right? And so oxygen would allow things to grow. But this was those bags. I don't think it's nitrogen. They're not as good as Sour Patches. Be Kind Tiger. They are not as good. That's not the tastiness you expect. All right, I do that a lot. There's a big difference between bad smell and formaldehyde. People, for real, I'm saying it's not good. I mean, it's a chemical smell. That's how it tastes. It smells. It does not taste that way. It just tastes sour Fruit Loops. I don't know. Maybe they've expired, and it's, had they been in this period of usefulness, would have tasted different. All right, let's see if we can bring a little bit of audio in here. I'm going to get a couple more feeds going. I don't know who won. Oh, sorry, I've been let's see. I've been ignoring chat, and I apologize. Yeah, they might be expired. I'll have to check those. I've thrown them from my desk. I can't reach them right now. Great item for a dare, yeah, but I'm not sure if it would poison someone is the problem. Kristen, congratulations on an anniversary. Thank you. Appreciate you sharing that with us so we could celebrate with you. All right. Sorry, I added again with the food tampering. Minxie said you shouldn't drink any water from a plastic bottle. The plastic leaches into the water. You get a reverse osmosis system. But then how would I get Deer Park water into my reverse osmosis system, Minxie? That's my problem. I'm addicted to this water right here. Well, now we're going in the court personnel only door. It says stop. Sign says stop. This is a private hallway. If you push the door, an alarm will sound. Unless, of course, you have the little keypad or the little swiper like he has. Oh, what's the code? What's the code? Oh. We're trying to see his code. Sort of like eating a mothball. Yuck. Have you tried Walmart's Premier Protein Microwave Frozen Pancakes wrapped in stacks of 3 pancakes, less than 1/3 minutes in the microwave? Very soft and fluffy. Runts Rants, I'm guessing this is a glowing endorsement from the way you describe it. Let's see. Can you help explain the charges, i.e. manslaughter versus neglect? What jury can do here? Well, formerly known as MD, the jury is sort of limited because there is no lesser included to involuntary manslaughter. So it's all or nothing. There are 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. I don't know if the sentence would run consecutively or concurrently, but those are the only 4 charges. 4 charges of involuntary manslaughter. For them to prove that in Michigan, they have to prove gross neglect, which is why they're going into all these other things about Jennifer's life. that that show that she had other interests that were competing or taking priority in the state's opinion to her son's care. I still think, formerly known as MD, I think the way the law is written, it is going to be difficult for the jury to shoehorn these charges into this case. I still think that's going to be a hard one.
If I could, yes.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping.
I don't have any update on Pickles and Zoe. Isn't this where the jury enters? Lady Draconis, I believe it might be that door, but at the same time, before the jury enters, and hopefully before they line up outside the door with the paper-thin walls, the judge will come in and they'll call the case and then see if there's any business, things like that. So the camera will turn before this. Michigan is consecutive. I've heard 15 years was the max they could get, though, and that, 4 into 15 does not add up right. Push these instructions. Stop. If you push the door, an alarm will sound. And then the sign underneath. Push until alarm sounds. Door can be open in 15 seconds. It's like I'm getting conflicting messages here. 3 signs to tell you either to go in or not. I'm not sure which is right. That's where Jennifer comes out of. Melody, I realize there's a lot of rumor out there. I will say that in court we have heard of a single affair. That is it. And I don't have any indication, or I don't have any information. I'm not going to share any unless it comes out in court that anything else is the case. Cameraman might be working with a couple things. It could be plugging in audio, changing settings. Oh, it's 15 maximum per charge. That would be 60 years if it's consecutive, which is basically a life sentence for an adult. All right. Yes, that's hearsay. We can't go into that. We are not, Lenova, great question. We're not quite done with the state's case yet. We're currently sitting at the end of their primary case, their case in chief, where we have maybe 1 to 3 witnesses left today. It depends what they decided overnight. Those things are fluid. They had 9 witnesses available. They called, I believe, 4 of them. So the math would say there were 5 potential more, but I think they've eliminated a couple. It just depends how much they want to go into the background and everything. How did they decide which trial went first, mom versus dad? I don't know who made that call. That would be a prosecutor's decision. And also, how the order that they filed the charges, I think. What does her affair have to do with her son, what her son's doing? Skybell, the only reason they could bring it in is if it's showing gross negligence. And I think they have to go in. I think they're going to try to talk about that more specifically when Jennifer takes the stand, if she continues to want to testify in her own defense. I think that'll be a big topic.
You're not funny. Move out of my shot because she could walk in.
Okay. I caught part of Ivan's live, talked to him afterwards. Thank you, Candace. Michigan is concurrent normally. Okay, so if they're concurrent, then the maximum sentence would be about 15 years if they stick to that concurrent thing. Who brought it in? Not the state. EJF. The prosecutor followed the rules when it came to the motion in limine, because this was brought up before. The judge ruled on this and said, no, you can't bring up an affair in court. You can't say she's a bad person because she had an affair, so convict her. That would be prejudicial more than probative. And they had an agreement that they could not go in this area. And then on cross-examination of the fireman, the man that she had an affair with, as we found out later, the defense asked questions that led right up to it, so close that the prosecution could not then go and redirect and address those same issues without breaking the rule without breaking that agreement, that motion in limine that the judge ruled on. And so they complained to the judge and said, Judge, we can't, they've put this allegation that the police were, turning the screws on him, saying, hey, you got to tell us what you want or we're going to out you. And now we can't say what was it they were threatening you with. And the judge said, yeah, if the door's open. And the defense said, yes. She's like, yes. Shannon's like, yeah, we want the door open. Open it. I want to question this witness completely about everything. And the state starts objecting, which is weird because normally the state would be like, we want to get everything, all the dirt in we can. But the state's objecting like, no, before you open this door, Judge, before you allow this door open, you need to ask the defendant, swear her in, have your little colloquy, your little talk where you, sorry, this is really loud. They're messing with the audio and stuff. Have your little colloquy where you figure out if she is on board with this, and the defense, Shannon's like, no, this is a trial strategy, right? This is a trial strategy, a decision made by the lawyer. This is within the area that I get to choose. She doesn't have any say in this. I object to you questioning my client as if she's okay with what I'm doing in trial. Happened anyway, right? It happened anyway. The judge asked her, and Jennifer on sworn in said, I guess I trust her, and the state's like, no, she needs to. That's not strong enough. I want something more. Eventually, the judge just ruled, yes, it's allowed in. It's allowed in, but limited. We're not going to let, because then the state suddenly flipped and saying, okay, fine, if that's allowed in, we want all of it in because there's other stuff we want to talk about. And she's like, well, it's just going to be narrowly scoped. The scope's going to be limited to this. So it was spicy. I've never seen the defense who asks for a motion in limine on a topic then turn and kick the door open like she did. Almost like she had planned that the whole time, Melanie. And thanks for being here, by the way, Melanie. 3 a.m. in the morning, looking for the thumbnail. That's dedication. Appreciate you. Jennifer has said she would testify. That may change now that this door is open. That could be different. The thing with having trials like this separate, can the dad take a plea after he knows the outcome of Jennifer's trial if it's not fair? For anyone to take a plea, it has to be offered by the prosecution. You can't just say, it's fine, I want a plea, and get a plea. It doesn't work that way. It looks like the defendant's in court today. Shannon's wearing purple. I should probably turn on my lights behind my TV because they're purple as well. That way it would match. Laura Bronson, thank you for the super sticker this morning. Thank you. I really think every day in court for the rest of this trial is going to be spicy. There's so much tension between the two sides. There's so much animosity that exists that even the mundane transactions turn into a cat fight at times. Let's see. It's 8:47. The jury was instructed to be here at 8:30. We must be waiting for jury members because the judge can't hold a meeting with just one side. Both sides have to be present. So since we can see Shannon Smith, our defense attorney, we know the judge isn't meeting with them in chambers. Melissa says, I'm about giving up on my Walmart ever carrying your pickles. Melissa, you may have to look for another Walmart. That is terrible. I would say have somebody go with you and look because they hide very well. And sometimes it's literally just one jar wide on the top shelf. It can be really hidden. Melanie Ann Plans, welcome to the gallery. Great to have you here. Is that a calendar on your? Is like a daily calendar that's all stickered up and drawn on and stuff in your profile picture. The reason I ask is because my wife loves watching the YouTube videos of people making these calendars. I shouldn't out her like that. Her guilty pleasure, but that looks cool. Welcome, Melanie. Make sure you take a seat by typing exclamation point seat in chat. We have reserved seats for members. Front row. All right. Let's see. Tony Hale says, haven't watched this trial at all. Is this a slam dunk case? Tony Hale, if this were the trial of her son, who was the one who physically committed the crime, I would say yes. It was so slam dunk. He pled guilty, or I think that's why he pled guilty anyway. This is a little bit harder. This one's more nuanced. This is anytime we have a parent charged criminally for the actions of their child, it takes a little bit more looking at. I would say of any case that I've seen where this has been brought up, this one seems to be a poster child for this very cause. It seems to have checked all the boxes. So, but at the same time, I'm like morally opposed to charging someone for something somebody else did. It's hard for me to draw that connection between the two. Melanie says yes, and thank you. I'm right there with Mrs. R.A. Love watching those planning videos. I'm just impressed that people can take a plain little notebook and turn it into something beautiful in just a few minutes. My creative abilities are next to none. Where was it? Awesome. Okay, we have a call coming in. If Judge starts, we're going to cut this one short, but let's see who's on the phone here.
Call from Witchy Mama.
Hey, Witchy Mama, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Oh, just great. What's on your mind?
Well, I was thinking after yesterday when we were talking about the fireman and threatening him with his job, and it was veiled threats and such. Now, I know police officers and sports figures and possibly firemen have morality clauses in their contracts. Is that something that could have been going on there with that?
Possibly. I don't know. The judge is here, though, so I've got to let you go, Witchy Mama. Sorry about the timing.
All righty. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. We talked a little bit about the morality clause, about how they're not allowed to plead the fifth. Or, well, that's not the morality clause.
Sorry.
She says, wait, we're not on the record yet. Judge has stacks of papers this morning. Morality clause.
Calling Pickles versus Jennifer Crumbley, case
we'll have to look into that when we
22
get a break.
279990FH.
Good morning, Your Honor. Karen McDonald, appearing on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Mark Keeson on behalf of the people.
And good morning, Your Honor. Shannon Smith on behalf of Jennifer Crumbley.
Karen, Mark, and Shannon, ready to go?
They're all here. Ready to go. Okay. My question, I'm asking the court, when there's an objection, if we can all slow down, and I'm objecting to the prosecutor making these speeches on the record that go in front of the jury.
Well, what speeches are you talking about?
Yesterday, during the questioning, when Brian LaRoche was up, the prosecution, when they would object, they would start to just say...
well, I guess the first thing, and you guys, in the heat of battle, people forget this, even though they know it, that you can't make a record if people are talking at one time. But there should be a legal objection and a response to it. Things kind of went sideways yesterday because I think that the prosecution was saying to you, Ms. Smith, you may have opened the door. I think it's already open. Are we going there? So I think their intention was to warn you, stop you, or let you know that if you were going to go there, they were going to go there. So I really think the prosecution was making a statement or interrupting you for the purpose of wanting to comply with my order excluding certain evidence. So, things got a little crazy yesterday. So,
Your Honor, I believe it was beyond that issue and it was on other questions. And I'm going to tell the court, I did the same thing at points. And looking back at the tape, I said things. I just would ask we slow down with objections and that neither side say things that should not be put on the record in front of the jury.
Okay, so objection and a response.
Thank you.
So as we went
any
through
bets on how long that lasts in front of the jury?
Yesterday, we stipulated them, but I don't think they were formally admitted, so I just moved for the formal admission now. There's the photographs from the witness.
Yeah, no objection.
Did you receive my email about the sealed record?
Yes.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, so I want to do that not while the jury is meeting, and it won't take much time. So, I'm sorry, Mr. Keese, you're moving for the admission of exhibit.
There were 348 to 400. They were agreed upon by defense, but I don't think they were formally admitted by the court. I just want to make sure the records.
Yeah,
I neglected to ask for their admission, Your Honor.
Yeah, I think there was sort of an understanding. So 348 through 400, Ms. Smith, I need to...
Yeah, I made no objection, and I did have down they were admitted, but either way, there's no objection.
Okay, 348 through 400 are admitted.
Was there another sorry there? Sorry, every time she talks, I just assume she says sorry.
Anyway, are you ready for the jury?
I believe so.
Yes.
Who's the first witness?
Lieutenant Willis.
Lieutenant Willis? Okay. All right.
Judge, we will be playing a portion of the Oxford High School surveillance video. I'll let the court know before to also inform the victims in the courtroom and so the media is aware.
Yeah, the media's been very cooperative, so yeah, I'm sure the victims would like a heads up too.
Of course.
And Your Honor, on the exhibit, the court knows I objected. The court's made a ruling. Can we just not move for objection in front of the jury so I don't have to tell them I've objected? We know it's admitted.
Oh, you don't want to object? Are you saying you don't want to object in front of the jury?
Yeah, because it's already been admitted.
Oh, I understand. So your objection is noted for the record.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Rob, this is a rough one. Speaking objections.
Objection to it.
Right. Thank you.
Doors being kicked open as far as motions in limine by defense, who filed the motion in limine to begin with.
All right.
Had affairs just thrown out on the stands. A witness who was told this would all be kept quiet. The affair wouldn't be an issue. He's up on stand and the door's thrown open. He gets questioned in detail about it. It's been wild. And of course, the whole legal side of this, with the parent being charged with their child's actions. It's crazy. Good to see you, Rob.
Be seated. Thank you for being so timely. We appreciate you. I'm going to ask the prosecutor for the next witness.
Lieutenant Timothy Willis.
Takes a lot of homework.
Do you swear or affirm your testimony about the evidence you saw after that?
I do, Your Honor.
Please step up, have a seat. And then would you please state your name without the
Timothy Willis, TimothyWillis.
Go ahead, prosecutor.
Thank you, Judge. I just need to make sure this is connected.
Is this on, Judge?
What's that?
Is this on?
That usually is last. That usually is on last. So
thank you.
Hold on a second.
Is the screen on, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the last thing that goes on.
We'll only go over that if it's included in the trial.
Go ahead. Sir, how are you employed?
I'm a detective lieutenant with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office.
What is a detective lieutenant?
My duties include I'm one of two detective lieutenants in the Investigative Forensic Services Division. We offer support services through investigations to our agency and really law enforcement in the region. My duties include the Special Investigations Unit. I'm in charge of that. I'm in charge of the Fugitive Apprehension Team. I'm in charge of the Computer Crimes Unit, and I'm in charge of our Warrants Unit.
Okay. And we've heard about the Special Investigative Unit through Sergeant Joseph Bryan. Does that individual work for you as well?
He does.
Okay, so specifically the Special Investigative Unit, can you tell the jury what they do?
So the Special Investigations Unit handles major crimes for our agency. We often get requests from other agencies to assist with their crimes or handle them. These crimes range from high-profile cases, political cases, whatever really they kind of request. Our training is pretty expansive in as much that we handle like larger, complex cases.
Okay. And how long have you been a lieutenant?
Can I have a little jump here? Sorry, guys.
Okay. And all told, how long have you been
audio for you?
I hired in 1996, so I'm approaching 28 years.
All right. Sir, I'd like to direct your attention to November the 30th, 2021. Do you recall that day?
I do.
Were you notified of an active shooter situation at the Oxford High School?
I was actually at the prosecutor's office discussing another totally separate matter, and the prosecutor and her chief assistant came in and advised me, was I aware that there was a shooting at the Oxford High School, and I was not at the time.
Okay, so you were meeting on a different case completely?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall approximately the time that occurred?
It was around, understand it was a very difficult time to remember exactly, but it was around 1 o'clock.
Okay. And what did you do when you were notified?
Prior to that, we had recently had a similar, but it was a false alarm incident at a different school. So my initial thought was this was another one of those, just someone pulled an alarm or something happened. I immediately collected my things. I got up and walked. I made a phone call. For the life of me, I've been trying to remember who I called. I cannot remember. I do remember them telling me it's real.
Okay. And when you were told it's real, what clicked in with you?
I went downstairs.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Take your time.
Thank you. I went downstairs and immediately got in my car and went lights and sirens to the scene.
Okay. When you say lights and sirens, what does that mean?
My vehicle is an undercover vehicle for all intents and purposes, but it is equipped with lights and sirens to respond to different things. So, police term, we call it coding. It's just like when you see cops racing to the scenes. It was very similar to that, except my car is an undercover type vehicle.
Do you recall how long it took you to get there?
It was somewhere within 20 minutes, I believe it was.
Okay. Do you remember the drive at all?
I remember portions of the drive to the scene. If you're familiar with the area, M24, Lapeer Road is the major route that we took to get there. It's the major road to get there, and it was completely lights, sirens, cars, just flooding northbound on Lapeer Road, and it was chaos.
So I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as Pickles 5. This is a map of the Oxford High School. Can you see that on your screen?
I can, sir.
Okay. Can you tell me what you observed when you first arrived at the school?
I observed when I came, there was students leaving the school. There was police officers flooding into the school. Emergency first responders. I know some of our people came right from their home address. It was I remember being shocked at, I live in a neighboring community, and I was just shocked that we have that amount of resources in a northern Oakland County school that quickly. Because I really moved to get there, and by the time I was there, people were just flooding that place.
Do you recall where you went? First of all, let me ask you this: did you go inside the school?
I did.
Okay. When you went inside the school, what was the situation?
I have no recollection of where I parked exactly, but I know I went in through the front office area. You can see on the right there where it says office.
Okay.
That entrance on the south there.
So this would be the main entrance to the school?
Yes.
Okay.
Captain Todd Hill, he was then a lieutenant, had already set up an incident command post, an interior post. Understand, we had a perimeter all secured. We were securing all the doors, no one in and out, unless you were law enforcement or emergency first responders. And we set up, because it was so cold that day, it wasn't ideal. However, the area where we were at, we determined to be relatively safe. So all of us responded to that area to start handing out our assignments. We refer to that as the interior command.
Okay, so you said incident command, interior command. Tell us the difference.
I'm sorry. So the interior command is just the location on the interior. Incident command is where most, if not all, the decisions are made. So at the time, the incident commander, Captain Hill, his focus was casualties, safety and security of the building, and searching for additional shooters. When I was driving to the scene, I do recall them saying, we were getting tips from, imagine being a civilian, driving around and seeing cars fly by you, hearing about a shooting. We got tips just flooded into our 911 center about, I think the shooter's in this car. I think the shooter's in this car. There's a man in a camouflage jacket running through the gravel pit. We think that's a shooter. So it was just, all we knew to do was go to the school first. We had no idea what else, if anything, was going on. So the exterior command was set up to, first to protect the school. The interior command was set up to handle the issues going on within the school that, for lack of a better term, were most known at that point.
Okay, so you were a lieutenant at the time?
I was.
Okay. And at the time, you were also in charge of the Special Investigative Unit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You said Lieutenant, now Captain Hill was focused on the active scene. So
yes, sir.
Clearing and casualties, things like that? Okay. What was your focus then?
So immediately upon entering the thing, I had a brief conversation with Captain Hill, advised that I would be handling the investigative portion of this. And we started then devising a plan, the best way that I could participate in the active investigation while the other stuff was going on. There was so many tips, if you will, social media tips coming in about this, that, and the other that, a lot of them certainly proved not to be true, but they had to be vetted. So, I could not just go in and start investigating the scene. There was several opportunities, i.e. For us to interview. We heard victims were at hospitals that needed to be interviewed. There was obviously tons of staff, personnel, and students still on the scene that we wanted to talk to and discuss and try to figure out what had happened.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that it was your responsibility to coordinate this investigative effort?
Yes, sir. So my job, that's exactly what my job is. My job is to direct those resources to the follow-up investigation.
Would it be fair to say that you are the officer in charge of this case?
Yes, that's fair to say.
Tell the jury, please, what does it mean to be an officer in charge?
So, as I stated earlier, I direct the investigation, meaning identify and attempt to interview or have my team attempt to interview victims, witnesses. I assist. You saw Bob Catellis up here from the crime lab. Him and I worked together about obtaining what evidence we deemed was going to be necessary for this case. I direct officers, to secure I directed the officers to secure the Crumbley home because we learned where the shooter lived. At the end of that, I comprised the information, and then I turn it over to the prosecutor's office, and then we discuss charging decisions.
Okay. And that's what an officer in charge does in every investigation.
That's right. This investigation was not unique to that. We do them with all of ours.
Okay. Now, it's fair to say that there was a massive amount of evidence uncovered in this case.
Yes. Imagine we estimated approximately 1,700 people in the school that day. They weren't using their lockers. There was backpacks, cell phones, just dropped in. Obviously, they were worried about their safety. So we just had a lot of evidence within the school, not counting, evidence at different hospitals from victims, the shooter's home, things of that nature.
Okay. Judge, may I approach the witness?
Sure.
This is Exhibit 1. We have a stipulation.
Yes. Your Honor, we would stipulate to exhibits 1 through 4.
1 through 4.
1 through 4, thank you.
1 through 4 admitted.
Sir, I'll just give you all these right here.
Okay.
One is on top.
Yep.
Can you tell me, please, what I've just handed you?
These are the autopsy protocols for the 4 deceased victims.
You guys, let's focus on the testimony we're hearing. I realize this is a tough topic. Let's not attack each other for how we view emotion or don't view emotion or feel about that. Let's just focus on the testimony, please.
I just want to make sure that's all. Okay, thank you.
Sir, tell us, you've reviewed the autopsy protocols in this case?
Yes, sir.
Do you know the identities of the victims who were murdered on November the 30th?
I do.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been admitted, stipulated to as Exhibit 418. Who is that?
That's Hannah St. Juliana.
Okay. And how old was she when she was killed?
14.
And sir, can you tell us, please, how she was killed?
The official cause and manner of death from the autopsy protocol is multiple gunshot wounds, homicide. She was shot in her upper torso, her abdomen, her thighs.
Could you refer to Exhibit 2?
I'm sorry, and her left forearm.
This may be their last witness. I don't know. They're the ones who decide that. Oftentimes it's the strategy to end with a very powerful witness, a strong closing.
I'm sorry.
You don't need to apologize. Referring to Exhibit 2 now.
Lieutenant, can you tell me if you need, did I promote or didn't promote you, Lieutenant? Can you tell me if you need a break?
Yes. Yeah. I'm
okay,
sorry.
Just let me know. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Now this is Pickles 419 on the screen. Now also referring to, this has been stipulated to, also referring to Exhibit 2, autopsy protocol for Madison Baldwin. Sir, how old was she when she was killed on November the 30th?
17 years old.
And how did she die?
Again, cause and manner of death was gunshot wound to the head. Manner of death was homicide. It was a close contact shot, meaning the firearm was either on or near the victim's head when the trigger was pulled.
Referring now to Exhibit 3. That's an autopsy protocol for Justin Schilling, is that right?
I think I have St. Mary's 3. Justin Schilling's 4.
Thank you, St. Mary. And how old was he when he was killed?
St. Mary was 16 years old.
This is Exhibit 420. It's been stipulated to. Tell us, please, how Tate was killed.
Again, the cause and manner of death from the autopsy protocol was gunshot wound. Tate had multiple gunshot wounds. Manner of death was homicide. Tate was shot in the back of the head at a further distance.
Now Exhibit 4, sir. And that's the autopsy protocol for Justin Schilling?
Yes.
I'm showing what's been admitted, stipulated to for admission is People's Exhibit 421. Sir, is that Justin Schilling?
It is.
How old was he when he was killed?
17 years old.
Tell the jury, please, how he died.
Justin Schilling, you'll see, you'll observe, but he was cause and manner of death from the autopsy protocol was gunshot wound to the head, homicide. He was also shot at close contact to the back of the head.
Sir, were others wounded and suffered gunshot wounds as well inside the school?
Yes.
Do you know their names?
I do.
Can you tell us who they are, please?
There's Phoebe Arthur, Elijah Mueller, Kylie Osage, Riley Franz, John Asciutto, Ayden Watson, and Molly Darnell, who testified earlier.
Thank you, sir.
Molly was the teacher, I believe.
Tell us what happened when you assumed. May I approach?
Sure.
I'll take those steps, sir. Thank you. Tell us what happened after you assumed the lead of the investigation. So where were you when this happened, and tell us the first thing that you did.
So the first thing I did was collect myself because I was pretty overwhelmed, and then we were determining areas of the school were had searched, and we were getting kids to the reunification point, which is, I think, was testified to the Meyer. As that was happening, I made an announcement that I was handling the investigation to the 100+ emergency first responders that were in that office area that we saw earlier. And I said, if you're an investigator, come see me. And in hindsight, I don't know if it was the most efficient way of doing business, because 100 investigators started walking toward me. I've never obviously dealt with anything like that before, but partners from the ATF is where I met Special Agent Brandon, partners from the FBI, local law enforcement from all over the region, all offering help.
Okay, so was it your responsibility at that point to direct certain officers and agencies to do certain aspects of this investigation?
That's correct. They, for instance, Special Agent Brandon approached me with his partner, I believe, and said, do you have the registered owner of the murder weapon? And I said, at this point, no, I did not. He's like, I'll take, let me take some information off the gun. We'll handle that. We'll track that down for you. And he did that, and I saw him, or I heard from him a short time later, where he advised the gun was registered to James Crumbley.
Okay. And you discovered that weapon was purchased on November the 26th, 2021 by Mr. Crumbley?
That's right. Just a few days prior on the Black Friday before.
Now, while you were on scene, did you come to learn the identity of the shooter?
I did.
And then was a decision made to secure the Crumbley family home?
It was. The shooter was on his way to the Oxford substation. I directed a couple of my investigators, Sergeant Joe Bryan, who you saw, to attempt to interview him at the substation. In addition, now that we knew who the shooter was, I directed detectives from the Pontiac substation. Lieutenant Marsban kind of spearheaded that part, and to go to the shooter's home to look for any additional casualties. It's not uncommon in a shooting situation where the shooter starts in the home and then goes to the school. So I was concerned about that initially.
In a school shooting situation?
That's correct.
Okay, you had learned about that in your training?
Yeah, and just by prior school shootings.
Okay.
It's certainly not uncommon for that to happen.
And so you sent officers to that location, 112 East in Oxford?
I did.
All right. Now, at that time, was there a concern of explosives?
Yes. So, again, understand everything's happened very, very quickly. People started doing open source searches on the name.
The name of whom?
The shooter.
Okay.
And finding different things, and the internet is a very expansive place, as we all know. And there came a video from YouTube of him deploying a Molotov cocktail, which is essentially an accelerant in a bottle with some sort of ignition device, wick, if you will. You throw it, and when you throw it, it blows up, spreads, because the fuel inside it kind of spreads. So there's a YouTube video of that. There was also, and I'm sure we'll get to it, there was also a journal with written passages in it that described secondary devices, meaning, there was a concern, and again, at this point, I went back to Captain Hill and advised him, hey, look, there's a concern that there may be secondary devices in and around the school.
Okay. So when that information became known to you as lead investigator, what steps happened next?
So Captain Hill contacted the Michigan State Police bomb squad. While that was happening, I wasn't present for this, but it's my understanding a canine from the sheriff's office alerted, an explosives canine alerted on the backpack that was found in the bathroom the shooter exited prior to the shooting. So
what does that mean, an alert?
So the alert means that the dog detected some sort of explosive. Now, it could be a legitimate explosive, it could be a firearm, it could be ammunition, it could be something of that.
Okay. So what was done to alleviate this threat?
So as I stated, Captain Hill called for the Michigan State Police bomb squad. They went in with a robot, and I have no expertise on how that works, but they determined that the bag was safe.
Okay. Now, sir, you were obviously on the scene at the school on November the 30th, 2021.
I was.
And you became aware that the Oxford High School has a number of security cameras.
That's correct.
Okay. And as an officer in charge of the investigation, did you also interview witnesses or review witness statements?
I did.
Okay. As a result of that, did you learn the path the shooter took on November the 30th, 2021?
Yes, sir.
So, can you tell us in what hallway and outside what room the shooting started?
Yeah, from the map earlier, you saw the highlighted area. That's all commonly referred to in Oxford as the 200 hallway. There's a short hallway and then a longer hallway. The shooter exited the bathroom adjacent to room 258, and that's when the shooting began.
Okay, I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as Pickles 12. What are we looking at here?
So this is the backpack that the shooter carried into the bathroom, that was examined for explosives, that we found on the scene.
And what else do we see in this picture?
So you can see that there's some personal effects, there's charging cables, there's a journal, there's a book.
Okay. When we reference journal, this is what we're talking about?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, what of note was discovered on those pages of paper? Not in the journal, but the other pages.
Yeah, so there was over 90 loose leaf papers you can see right there. They're different assignments or whatever. And can't hold me to it. Over 50 were had drawings of firearms on them.
Now, sir, did you have the opportunity to review that handwritten journal that's depicted in Pickles 12?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. Describe what that journal is.
So, the contents, sir, or describe the journal?
Both.
So the journal was a hardbound, leather-type journal. Should be in there. You might be able to cut it open more.
That over 50 drawings with firearms on it is going to be problematic for the civil suit against the school.
There was approximately 22 pages of written information in the journal. It appears from some of the dates that it was written from the back cover to the front. The earlier dates seem to be on the back side, if that makes sense to you. Like I said, it was about 22 pages total in length.
Judge, I'm going to mark this for demonstrative purposes only as exhibits.
That's funny, Kayla.
So the record's clear. I believe that's 428, again, for demonstrative purposes.
Happy 5 months. Thank you, Kayla, for your support.
I'm sorry, may I please take a look at it?
There's a sorry.
Is that just the journal?
It's just the hard copy journal.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have scissors.
Thank you.
The 50 assignments that had drawings of firearms on them, the presumption is the assignments are turned in. And if they had drawings of firearms on 50 different assignments, that's a lot. He's going to cut himself. Oh my goodness. Careful with the scissors. They may be getting the journal in. That's what I'm hearing.
So that black notebook you're holding in your hand, that's what's depicted here in Exhibit 12 that I'm magnifying.
That's correct.
Okay. Now these papers that we just talked about, we said over 50 with different pictures of weapons. There's no evidence that was ever turned into the school. Is that correct?
Yes, I have no evidence of that.
Okay.
Okay, no evidence that those 50 pages were ever turned into the school.
Read the entire
That's better
journal?
for the school.
I have.
Okay. Out of that notebook, how many pieces of paper have actual writing?
22.
Okay. And does one of those 22 pages include just a drawing and a quote from a book?
Yes.
Okay. Now, out of the remaining 21, how many reference the school shooting?
Every single one.
So there are some that have been admitted, some portions of that. I'm going to go through those with you. Just so you're aware, we've numbered them to keep them straight for you as well as the jury. Number 1 is the drawing, page number 1. Page 22 would be the back cover of that journal. Is that clear?
Ayden, yes.
Okay, and the back cover of the journal has actual writing on it as well.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you it's 401.
Yes.
That's another sorry from the defense.
Are you going to go through?
Only the ones that have been admitted.
I understand. 401.
They're all 401.
Oh, they're all 401. I
Correct.
see. Thank you.
Correct.
You said it individually, so I was.
This is the first we've heard reference of this journal.
So this has been
in the trial
admitted
so
as
far.
page 401.
For the jury.
Sir, in reading the journal, were there passages in there indicative of a request for mental health help?
Yes.
Can you read what's been identified here as page 6 of that journal?
Yes, the shooter writes, I have zero help, as you can see on the bowl, for my mental problems, and it's causing me to shoot up the fucking school.
I'm going to move on to page 5. Could you read this passage, please?
In this one, the shooter writes, I want help, but my parents don't listen to me, and I can't get any help.
Now, this is page 19. Can you read that?
Yes. Shooter writes, my parents won't listen to me about help or therapist.
Sir, in that journal, were there entries about the shooter's desire to obtain a 9mm handgun?
Yes.
This is also Exhibit 401, page 22. Could you read those quotes, please?
Yes. The shooter writes, I want to shoot up the fucking school so badly. Soon, I'm going to buy a 9mm pistol.
Sir, were there any passages regarding the shooter's plan for the actual shooting?
Yes, there were.
Okay. Here's page 3, also Exhibit 401. Could you read that, please?
Yes. Shooter writes, I'm about to shoot up the school and spend the rest of my life in prison.
Were there any journal entries about the shooter's access to the 9mm handgun?
There were.
This is also Exhibit 401, also page 3. Could you read that, please?
Yes, sir. The shooter writes, first off, I got my gun. It's a SP 2022 Sig Sauer 9mm. Second, the shooting is tomorrow. I have access to the gun and the ammo. I am fully committed to this now. So yeah, I'm going to prison for life, and many people have about 1 day left to live.
Thank you, sir. Now, is the journal written in normal size fonts, or are there certain passages that are bolded and larger than normal size font?
Both.
Okay. And were there drawings in there as well?
There were drawings.
Okay. Were the drawings small or were they large?
Yeah, there were large drawings.
Okay. What's an example of a large drawing?
Yeah, so there was a large drawing in the journal of a firearm being pointed at the back of a presumably a woman's head. There was a drawing depicting a 9mm round, caliber round, versus a .22 caliber round. Those types of pictures were found in the journal.
Okay. And on the cover of the journal, what does that say? The actual cover of the journal itself?
It says apartments.com.
Okay. Lieutenant, you said you've seen the Oxford High School security footage that depicts the actual shooting.
Yes, sir.
Judge, we're going to introduce that now. This is Exhibit 402. It's been admitted. I would like, if the court could instruct the media not to play that.
Yes, the media has agreed, and I'm going to request that the media not play, show the video in the school. That's surveillance footage of November 30th, 2021, and is Pickles Exhibit 402.
402, thank you.
And the victims who are present are aware of the content of this specific video.
Yes, Judge.
Go ahead.
It's my understanding that this is a silent video, that the security camera does not have audio.
Tell us, please, what this view depicts. What hallway?
Okay, so if you can recall back to the highlighted areas of the school map, this is that short hallway. The shorter portion of the long, it's all of the 200 hallway, but it's the shorter portion of the entire.
Can I stop you for a second? Are you okay if the audio is on still?
There's no audio.
Well,
is audio?
There's streaming in the courtroom, and there might be audio from the news camera. So I just want to make sure that there's no objection.
That's fine. There's no audio of the video.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Okay. So this is the short portion of the 200 hallway.
Yes, and the bathroom that you see right there by the drinking fountains is the one that, correct. That's where the shooter will go into and then emerge from and begin his shooting.
And that's where that backpack was found?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this doorway here would be the doorway to classroom 258?
That is 258 there, yes.
Okay. And just so the record is clear, this video begins at, it's 12:46 p.m.?
Yes.
And the actual shooting began at 12:51.
Okay. Correct.
I'm going to play right now. Again, this is 12:46. Tell me if and when you see the shooter walking down the hallway.
Okay. He is behind the young lady in the red sweatshirt right there. He's about, with the mask on, the black shirt, and the gray sweatshirt.
Okay. And that's with his backpack over his shoulders?
That's right. Yes, sir. And he's going to make a right turn into the bathroom here.
So we have a split screen at this point, and that's
just a camera angle from the other hall, or from the same hall facing the other way.
Okay. We're stopping at 41 seconds. Identify who you see in this video.
So that's the shooter. If you want to. The two, that's Phoebe. On the left there is Phoebe Arthur. To the right is Elijah Mueller.
Okay.
This is John Asciutto. So these four young ladies here in the Carhartt or the brown jacket is Kylie Osage. Directly across from her is Hannah St. Juliana. This is Riley Franz in the pink backpack, and across from her is her sister Bella Franz.
Okay.
At the very end, you can see the beginning. That's Madison Baldwin walking up the hallway.
And this is at 12:51 and 12 seconds on November the 30th?
That's correct.
The decision to charge the parents was made within the first week after the incident, and I believe the contents of this journal played a big part in that decision. Jennifer's been emotional every time these videos are played in court. Previously, the prosecution has objected to the emotion being shown by the defense attorney. And at the objection, the judge admitted that even she was tearing up. What's happening right now is a silent video is being played. The security camera footage often does not have audio feeds with it. So it's a silent video, but it's not like stop action. It's a live video that was taken at the time of the incident from inside the school, and they're literally watching the path of the shooter go through the school as he causes the carnage that he did. Thank you, Tish. I appreciate everyone just being kind at this moment. A lot of people have very strong feelings and emotions here. But let's give each other some space to handle this as we each see fit. But let's do so respectfully. Those that just arrived, right now the prosecution is showing the security footage from inside the school from the day of the shooting. Virtually every hallway, every inch of every hallway was covered with security camera footage, and as most of the incident took place in hallways, or visible from hallways, they basically can follow the shooter's path throughout the school. They're showing that right now. The lead detective on the stand, Timothy Willis, is the one who testified about this, and they're bringing the evidence in through him. So the issues with this journal is the person who wrote that, the shooter is still alive. He's in custody. He's serving life in prison without parole. He was going to be testifying in this trial, but he has filed an appeal of the sentence. He's not trying to reverse, withdraw his guilty plea. He's filed an appeal of the sentence, trying to get the without parole part dropped from the sentence, so he'd just be life in prison, but have an opportunity at parole. Because he has filed that appeal, he's pleading the fifth, and he will not be taking the stand during this trial. So we're bringing in. The judge has allowed that this part of the journal, those parts of the journal, have been allowed in. And we don't get to hear from the person who wrote it and explain anything. So that is interesting, very interesting. Court is not paused now. They're still playing the video. I think it's nearly done. But it's basically going to be real time of the shooting. So the duration of the shooting until it stopped, until police entered and took him into custody, are basically being depicted here.
Why do the officers have to run past Madison, Anna, and Kylie?
In our training for active shooters, we were trained to respond, drive up right to the door if you have to, and go in, search for stimulus, meaning sounds, gunshots, or whatever. Run to that and eliminate the shooter. Stop them, however you can. Because the situation was active and the killing hadn't stopped. You can't stop and render aid. I know.
Take a break, please.
If I could just finish this part, I'd appreciate it.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Your client's having a hard time. He's having a hard time.
I know those officers. And that is the hardest thing they've had to do in their life.
We take a break, Jeff.
Yeah, we'll take a 10-minute break.
All rise for the jury.
I've been chugging hot chocolate, so I'm not bawling. But this is brutal. As Rob was saying in chat, the prejudicial effect that this has on against the defendant that's got to be severe. Speaking of the journal, I don't know. I'd love to get Law and Lumber's take, Rob, on this, specifically some of these motions. Yesterday, you missed just incredible moments, but where the defense had filed a motion in limine to keep testimony about an affair that Jennifer Crumbley had out of the trial, and the prosecution brought the person she had the affair with, who was a fireman, on the stand and did questioning, and then on cross of that questioning, defense questioned in such a way that approached the topic so closely that on redirect, the state would not be able to address or counter the argument without breaking that motion in limine. And they're saying, "Oh, you kicked open the door," and she's like, "Yes, I want the door open." It was a strategy, and it just amazing to see that happen, and at what cost? I mean, the point she got was the small. I'm going to turn this down just a tiny bit because it's just courtroom chatter. But the point she won in that argument was just being able to say that the police had told him that, you know, if he doesn't cooperate, that this affair could come out. And so they sort of held that over him. He cooperated under the belief that the affair would be kept secret and not be exposed publicly, even though he was open with the police about it from the very beginning. And then while he's on the stands, it all came out. And so we had this testimony, and he's there under oath and has to testify to all the things that he thought was not going to be brought out. So the defense won a little point because we got to see that the police sort of put the screws to him a little bit in the 3 different interviews for over hours, asking him the same questions over and over, telling him information about Jennifer, then asking the question again. It almost seems like they were trying to add to his memory a little bit. So that was a little win, but how much of a loss was it to bring that in? Because now we still have the defendant who said she's going to testify in her own defense, and now you've kicked the door open, and you know the state is not just going to tiptoe around the topic of affair or affairs if there were multiple on the cross. So that it really just threw the future of the case, you know, wide open as far as that possibility goes. Let's see. Nikki says, "Please remind me why we don't see the crime scene picture or videos." Court order, Nika. The judge controls that. Oftentimes, when there are images that are disturbing, especially involving children, the court will seal them at the request of one or both parties. We've seen that before, and that's the way it goes. And honestly, for those that have. I mean, almost if we've watched true crime if we've been a part of true crime long enough, we've seen some of those photos. We've seen crime scene photos that are extremely disturbing. And for me, I don't want to see them anymore. There's enough images in my head that I can never forget, that I wouldn't want to see those. And it's bad enough just knowing what's going on in the picture that I can't see. I do feel for the jury who sits there and watches it and basically has to watch as they take in all the evidence. So... the interesting thing that happened there right before the break, we had defense, Shannon Smith said, "Your Honor, can we take a break?" And the judge didn't respond. The witness did. And he's like, "No, I'd like to finish. I'd like to keep going." And so he kept going a little bit. And then prosecution said, "Can we take a break?" Shannon asked for a break because of the emotion. Her client was having difficulty containing her emotions. But I imagine the prosecution looked at the jury as well, and it's pretty much a safe bet that some or all of the jury members were also showing a lot of emotion in that moment. So they're going to get a break and come back, and we'll see where they pick up. This seems like a final witness to me. This seems like a final witness. This is the bookend. This is somebody who's got oversight over the whole case and can sort of put all the pieces together and tell the story in a way that's easy to follow for the jury, connect all the dots, and not have to only testify about a little part, and then still bring in the emotion, which is a big part of this case. They brought in a lot of emotion, and honestly, I mean, it's the question has to be asked: is there too much? Is it such an emotional fervor over this in the area that the jury feels pressure to convict, because the area is saying, look at how awful this is. We have to have a conviction. Look how awful. I mean, think of the children. We know that the news media has already released stories that do everything but show the jurors' faces and give their names and social security numbers. There are stories out there that say where they work. I mean, like the type of job they have and details about them. This one's a veterinarian who has these hobbies. They've really just outed the jury, so much so that I think the jury is fearful, if not fearful, aware that the public has some perception of who they are. And I'm worried that will cause a problem. Taminator just gifted 1 membership. Thank you very much, Taminator. I appreciate that. All right. Let's see. We have, regarding the journal, says Rob, the brief summary, it's the very definition of hearsay, seeking admission for truth of the matter asserted, and when used against mom has Sixth Amendment confrontation clause issues. That's my question. Rob, I don't know, because there was a ruling the judge made, and it was just, she said it was a Fifth Amendment ruling, and I think the Fifth Amendment had to do with the son as well, and I'm not sure if that's tied to the journal at all. She has mentioned that that she's not going to allow the defense to call anyone that when the defense knows they're going to plead the Fifth and not testify. So the defense won't be able to get Ethan up there. She said, I don't know what questions you could ask him and say, I want to call him just to bring him up there. I think it would be helpful for the defense if they were able to call Ethan for this reason. You can bring somebody up into the room that the jury would hate more than your client, right? You can bring somebody up that the jury would hate more than your client. But if he pleads the Fifth, there's really no exchange that can be brought in other than asking them their name and, you know, how old they are. I mean, what favorite color? There's very little that they could do to beyond that if you're going to plead the Fifth. Oh man. Okay, I'm taking deep breaths. I haven't taken any calls yet, just because this is very emotional, and I realize a lot of people are feeling very strongly. I am as well. I've got questions in my mind. I've got legal questions about how this is going down and how and if this should be the way that the law works, and if this is the proper usage of the law and how it's written. I've got lots of questions. Lots of questions about the lawyering and the chess game being played in the courtroom, the drama that's being introduced in this particular court. We haven't seen as much of it today as we saw yesterday, but I imagine it's still coming, especially once we get to defense on there and the shoes on the other foot as far as putting testimony into the trial. Okay. Good day, Andrew. Welcome. Thank you very much. Hello to Australia. I see the Roo there on the map there in your profile picture. I have questions. You have questions. That's Emily D. Baker. I think that's copyright by her, formerly known as MD. She's got some great sayings. Let's see. Dusty Den says, could you please read the definition of involuntary manslaughter? Let me go back to... Let me read this is a synopsis on it. Okay, I'm not going into the law books directly, but synopsis: involuntary manslaughter generally, which is also called criminally negligent manslaughter, occurs when a person is accidentally killed due to someone else's criminal negligence, or when someone is killed during another crime where the intent was not to cause bodily injury or death. Unlike a murder charge, involuntary manslaughter means that a person had no intention of killing another, but due to their careless or reckless actions, caused the death of a human being. The important part that jumps out to me is that it's is when a person accidentally killed due to someone else's criminal negligence. It has to be criminal negligence. Why if there has to be criminal negligence, why did they not charge the parents with neglect, criminal neglect? Would it not make it easier for the jury to make a jump from one to another if there was that additional charge? Seems like we're just jumping to the final charge and just insinuating that the other one exists. But I guess that is a portion of it. They have to show gross neglect. Let's see. Let me see if I can find from Michigan. Let's see. Model jury instructions for Michigan for gross negligence. This is 16.18. It says gross negligence means more than carelessness. It means willfully disregarding the results of others that might follow from an act or a failure to act. In order to find the defendant was grossly negligent, you must find each of the following three things beyond a reasonable doubt. So this is not a either or. This is a and. First, that the defendant knew of the danger to the another, and that is that he or she knew there was a situation that required him or her to take ordinary care to avoid injuring another. Second, the defendant could have avoided injuring another by using ordinary care. I think that one is probably the easiest to prove, because locking up the firearm, which is ordinary care, could have prevented his access to this. And third, that the defendant failed to use ordinary care to prevent injuring another when, to a reasonable person, it must have been apparent that the result was likely to be serious injury. So I think 2 is easy to prove. 3, the defendant failed to use ordinary care to prevent injuring another when, to a reasonable person, it must have been apparent that the result was likely to be serious injury. I think that's a possibility. The first one, though, let's go over that one more time and see if that would be how difficult this is, because proving what somebody else knows is difficult. You have to get in their head, and maybe she's going to testify that she didn't know. See, first, that the defendant knew of the danger to another. That is, she knew there was a situation that required him or her to take ordinary care to avoid injuring another. What would go towards that argument? That he was seeking for help, that he had texted her saying, I'm seeing demons, things like that. But she has to know that there is a danger to another, not just himself. So if she had told him that this was in his head, this is what he wanted to do, that would be there. If there was in a text, hey, I wanted to do XYZ crime at school, that would prove the first element. Let's see. The manslaughter, going back to the jury instructions. Let's see. Involuntary manslaughter, failure to perform legal duty. No, I'm not sure if that's it. Let me go back one more. So firearm intentionally aimed. Involuntary manslaughter. This is jury instruction 16.10. The defendant is charged with the crime of involuntary manslaughter. You may also consider the lesser charge. This is when the defendant is charged with something higher, and then you can include involuntary manslaughter as the lesser included. I don't believe there's any lesser included to involuntary manslaughter. You may also, to prove this charge, the prosecutor must prove each of the following elements beyond a reasonable doubt. First, the defendant has caused the death of a name, name the person, and they died as a result of, and then you have to state the alleged act causing the death. Never mind. This is gross negligence, so the instruction will be a little different when it's gross negligence. In doing the act that caused the named person to death, the defendant acted in a grossly negligent manner. Yeah, and then we go back to those 3 parts that have to decide if it's grossly negligent. All right, I'm calmed down a little bit emotionally. I'm not sure. We might be almost done with the break. We might have time for one quick phone call if somebody has a brief comment to bring in. Parents knew from Ethan's text that he was hallucinating. I would hope ordinary care is also getting mental health care for the son. Can the danger to another include Ethan? I think the danger to another has to include the danger. If Ethan had harmed himself and they knew that was happening, I think that would be a possibility, but it has to include the people that they had to know about the danger to another person that was actually injured. I think that's how it goes.
Call from Kayla.
Good morning, Kayla. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good. How are you?
Doing well. You've got just a minute here. What's on your mind?
I'll make it quick, I promise. So I'm used to advocate for kids in the county I live in, and I've seen emotion on parents. So I'm just a little confused, like why Miss Crumbley wasn't showing emotion at like when the event occurred, And now she is now, like, does she have remorse now? Like, is it just now hitting her? There's so many things that go into play. Like, a part of me, my heart reaches out to her as a parent. But a part of me is like, you did have so many chances to prevent this.
Yeah. Let me address that first part about the question about why she's not showing emotion. I used to go on ride-alongs with the police a lot when I was filming for them, and I'd show up at crimes and some pretty crazy stuff. And when I first started hanging out with these officers and deputies, I was really taken back by the fact that we just left a crime scene, and I'm like, my hands are shaking. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe, we just were there. I just saw what I just saw. And as we're leaving, they're joking. They're telling jokes, and sometimes the jokes involve the crime scene. I'm like, how can these people be so callous and hardened?
It's how they cope.
It's how they cope. Yeah. And this morning,
it's a coping mechanism.
I was not crying during this morning's testimony, and I didn't cry because I drank my hot chocolate. I just focused on the hot chocolate. And so it's hard for me to look at Jennifer Crumbley and say, you didn't cry in the moment. So clearly, that's a disconnect. I can't judge that. That's the problem. I wish I could. I wish I could peek into somebody's mind and say, oh, now I know what you're thinking. But I really can't fault her because I don't know how she deals with things like this. Or if her mind's just like, that's too much. I can't deal with it. I mean, we've all been there. We're just like, you know what? You're dumping something on me. I am just not emotionally or, ready to handle. And I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist. And it may have been that.
Right. And I think the forensic psych student in me is like studying her behavior and body language so much. I'm like, okay, what is going on? And I'm comparing both of them. So it's really, I think I'm just overanalyzing. So I just wanted to see what you thought.
I'm confused. That's what I am. I'll tell you, I say one thing and then I think about a whittle and switch to the other side. There's a lot to think about here. And going to sleep at night, I just lay there, running things through my head. I'm like, now I can see it from this way. Now I can see it from the other way. I don't know.
Exactly.
I really don't know, but I appreciate the insight you've provided, Kayla. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Have a good day.
All right. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I just hung up on Mr. Lawn. If we could have him call back, that would be great. I was trying to answer, but Kayla's phone dropped and it switched where my buttons were, and I hung up on you. Do we know why she was medicated before? And when this went, we haven't gone into that. We know she had some prescription medication. Okay. Hang on.
Call from
Crazy Cat Queen. Hello, Crazy Cat Queen. This is RA. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing.
We're doing. That's a good answer.
Yeah. So, a little bit of insight from my perspective. When I was in the Army, one of our soldiers shot our commander and my best friend during a battalion safety brief right before a 4-day weekend.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, so my initial shock lasted maybe 4 seconds. Because after that, you're now in, especially me, because I'm a physician, now I'm in treatment mode for everybody else.
Yeah.
And it took me 4 years before I actually started dealing with it. And so for 4 years, I was taking care of everybody else.
Yeah, and you just put yourself on the back burner.
Right, and sometimes people use that as their crutch, right? Because it's like, okay, well, I can't deal with it right now. I got to do this. You kind of focus on other things to kind of put it on the back burner, hoping it'll just go away.
It doesn't. It doesn't go away.
It does not.
It bubbles
does not.
up somewhere else.
Right. And so the sad part is I also took care of the shooter prior to the shooting.
Oh, man.
And I will tell you, every single day I wonder what the hell I missed because I didn't see it. Yeah. So I kind of get where Crumbley's mom is kind of sitting there going, why didn't I see it coming?
Yeah, thank you for that.
It's hard. It's a difficult case.
Thanks for helping us understand a little bit. I definitely, when I look at her, I don't see fake. I don't know what, I don't know why she's crying. I don't know why she's crying. I can't say that, but I don't see fake crying. She might be crying for herself. She might be crying for her son. She might be crying for the victims. But I just can't judge from where I stand. I think the judge is back. We're going to have to let you go. Thank you so much for that. We'll see you. Bye.
We were just notified by a victim advocate that there were victims and family of victims using the restroom in the hallway, and apparently a juror was in the same restroom as the juror walked out. There was no communication, no words spoken. I just wanted to place it on the record.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. We, at one time, I mean, I don't want to tell you the inner workings of, we have 2 jury rooms going here. We've had personality issues, we have privacy issues. There are 4 bathrooms there, so, okay.
Thank you. I just wanted to make.
No, I appreciate that. That's why I don't want them going to the cafeteria.
Judge is a little frustrated.
Okay. Ready for the jury?
Yes.
If there was no communication, that's one thing. But there's no verbal communication. But were they in the bathroom sobbing? Were they wiping their eyes? Were they talking to themselves, even though they didn't communicate to each other? A juror just used the restroom at the same time family members of the victims were in the restroom. That's all we know. Eye contact was there unspoken communication. This courthouse, paper walls. We've actually been sitting here watching court and heard them say "all rise" in the courtroom next door over our microphones. It's so small. I don't know how the jury, I guess that's why they don't excuse the jury, because they would hear anything anyway. Jack says, a medical health provider will ask you if you have any thoughts of harming yourself or others. So if the parents had taken him, he would have been asked that very important question. Thank you, Jax. Appreciate it.
Lieutenant Willis, you are still on the road, all right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead,
Thank you. Sir, you mentioned earlier that you directed officers to the Crumbley family home at 112 East in Oxford?
Correct.
Okay. And approximately how far in distance is that home to the school?
A mile.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as officer in charge and as a sheriff's office employee, you're aware that vehicles have in-car recording capability?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to show you what's been, I believe, stipulated to is Exhibit 341. This is an in-car video of Deputy Zajak's marked patrol car. That's 341.
I'm sorry, I'm just...
Was that admitted through Joe Bryan or not?
No, just 342 was.
And I'm sorry, we have no objection to 341.
Right, 341 is admitted.
And
we're still counting the number of times the defense lawyer apologizes. That's our coping mechanism.
112 East at 2:48 p.m., 2:49 p.m.
Yes.
And that's November the 30th, 2021.
Yes.
Okay. And as we saw in the video, the shooter was taken into custody at 1 p.m.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
This one, get the volume turned up.
Crank that volume. Might be blaringly loud. Apologize to your eardrums in advance.
Right now, you give them. Why is she in handcuffs? Okay. Can you take the handcuffs off of her, please? Carefully hold yourself. Okay. Plug in first. Okay. It's not going to be long for those handcuffs. I promise. Why am I in cuffs though? It hurts. Like it really hurts. Wow, what's that? Why am I in your cuffs? I don't know. I asked them the same fucking thing. They didn't do anything.
Okay, we might have some problems with the music here, so we're going to turn this down a little bit. I'm sorry, the music causes problems for the channel, so we've got to be really careful here. I'm going to have to talk over this or something, but we're not going to... I've got to have this muted. I'm sorry, guys. Do you remember? Yep, there's a song going on here. I cannot play it YouTube could take down the entire stream. Yeah, it's a jam. So we're looking in the back of the. I'll turn it on occasionally, on and off.
I'm so confused.
She's still confused. She doesn't know why she's in handcuffs. I believe that is James on the one side, not in handcuffs. Jennifer on the other side, in handcuffs, in the back of a police car. And the police officer has his radio on in the car.
And then I have a cop pointing a gun at me.
I have a cop pointing a gun at me. Let me see if I can listen to this without you guys hearing it narrated. I just don't know how I can do that. Okay, we can see the blue marker on the bottom. Unfortunately, I can't. I cannot play this, guys. I apologize. Do you remember, Tina? Thank you. You guys can all hear the song. We might already be in trouble. My feed hasn't dropped here right now. It's still up. Put on closed captionings. Let me see if I can do that here. Let's switch to camera 2. Set up camera 3 with closed captionings. I don't think I can get closed captions. Closed captions not available. Sorry. Switch back to 3. Give me a second. I'm going to see if we can get another feed going so I can narrate what I hear. Still. Okay. All right. The song's still going on. Can you guys hear that music? No? The song changed. They're yelling at Pepper? They're yelling at Pepper. Pepper. Is that a pet's name? It's like a pet just ran. Now we've got Billy Idol. She's yelling at somebody. Patrick. She's yelling, and he's saying, he can't hear you, he can't hear you. Now it's a commercial. Patches, that doesn't fix it, unfortunately. It's not that simple. She said she wants to get out of these cuffs. I'd love you if something happens. What'd I do? Oh, there it is. James just said, I need you to not answer any questions without a lawyer. And that's the end of the video. Sorry.
So, sir, that video started at 2:49 p.m. November the 30th. This was after they had spoke with Sergeant Joe Bryan at the Oxford substation, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the video that we saw with Sergeant Pesky, that occurred directly after this.
That's correct.
Okay. So when she was taken out of the vehicle, she was placed in a different vehicle, and that's where Sergeant Pesky spoke with her.
Correct.
Okay. And then as Edward Wogrowski testified, they arrived home from the location data at 2:30 p.m. after the substation.
Yes.
Okay. Sir, do you know the date in which Jennifer Crumbley was charged?
December 3rd.
Okay, so the shooting happened on Tuesday, November the 30th. December 3rd would have been a Friday.
That's correct.
Okay. And
I believe it was around noon.
Okay. Tell us what happens when someone is charged with a felony in the state of Michigan. The process they actually have the charging document.
So the prosecutors give me a warrant. I go in front of a judge and I swear to the facts of the case. The judge authorizes the warrant.
Okay. And that's what we would commonly refer to as a swear to?
Swear to, correct.
All right. And did that happen in this case?
It did.
Is that a closed proceeding or is that open to the public?
It was open.
Okay. In fact, it was broadcast at that point?
There was media present for that, yes.
Okay. And they were, Jennifer and James Crumbley were not in custody at the time of the swear to, is that right?
That's correct, they were not.
We've already heard from Dave Hendrick about the fugitive apprehension team in that part of the investigation. Tell us, please, how retired Sergeant Hendrick's team got involved.
So, upon being made aware that charges were coming, we knew that they weren't at the residence. So I had Sergeant Hendrick, who worked for me, deploy the fugitive apprehension team to locate the suspects.
Okay, and that's purely a law enforcement function, would that be correct?
100%, yes.
Okay, so as a detective lieutenant in charge of all of these different divisions, that includes the fugitive apprehension team?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the decision then would have ultimately been yours?
Yes, I told him to go attempt to look for him.
Okay. Now was that on Friday the 3rd or was that prior to Friday the 3rd?
I don't recall.
Okay. He testified yesterday that he recalled it being Thursday the 2nd. Is that accurate or you just don't remember?
Yeah, I don't. I think it's accurate, but I don't remember it specifically.
Okay. That's fair. Now, during the course of your investigation as the officer in charge, did you learn where the defendant went after her phone was seized in the evening of November 30th, 2021?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess as a reference point, Lieutenant Sam Marsman testified yesterday as to the date and time when her phone was seized. You were here for that testimony?
I was.
Okay. So I'm going to have you walk us through that timeline.
Okay.
Now, we've heard about the track phone purchases. Did you discover where those purchases were, where those purchases occurred?
Yes, at a Walmart in Lapeer.
Okay. This would be exhibits.
In front of the Walmart.
You have Walmart in every case.
This is exhibit 404. I don't believe we have an objection.
Any objection to 404?
No.
404 is admitted.
Okay, so this is a photograph of the exhibit. What are we looking at here?
This is the purchase receipt for the track phones from the Walmart in Lapeer.
Okay. And did you learn where they stayed that night?
They stayed at a hotel in Lapeer.
Okay. I'm going to show you exhibit 405. I don't believe there's an objection to 405 either.
No.
405 is admitted.
Thank you, Judge. This is 405. What are we looking at here?
This is a receipt for the overnight stay at the Holiday Inn Express in Lapeer.
Now, did you do the swear to for the shooter as well in this case?
I did.
Okay. And when did that occur?
That was it was on the December 1st. I want it. Time was sometime in the early afternoon.
Okay. If I said 3:51 p.m., would that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. Do you know where James and Jennifer Crumbley were then?
Yes. It was a swear to, much like we do typically, open to the public. They were I believe they were on Zoom in their vehicles.
Okay. That proceeding's open to the public, is that right?
Yes, it is.
Welcome, Anna Rose.
I'm going to show you.
Good to have you here. Thank you so much for your support.
Well, first, let me ask you, did the investigation uncover where they stayed the day after the shooting, December the 1st, 2021?
Yes, it did.
Okay. This is exhibit 408.
No objection.
408 is admitted. 407 is not.
They skipped.
Correct, Judge.
Okay. Thank you.
Instead of renumbering all the exhibits, we thought it.
Oh, no, it's all right. I just want to make sure I was keeping up.
Thank you, Judge. 408, what are we looking at here?
This is an extended stay in Auburn Hills.
Okay. And this is where the defendant and her husband checked in December the 1st, 2021?
That's correct.
Does it indicate a checked out date?
December 3rd, 2021.
Okay. And that's that Friday?
Yes.
At 11 a.m.
Now, we heard from Sergeant Hendrick, retired Sergeant Hendrick, that they recovered a vehicle belonging to the Crumbleys in Auburn Hills.
They did.
Okay. Is this the location where that vehicle was recovered?
It is.
Okay. This is Exhibit 409.
You guys, just a reminder, no caps in chat. It comes across as shouting, and it just elevates the conversation in a
This
direction we
is
don't want.
one of the two vehicles owned by the Crumbleys backed in a parking spot at the extended stay in Auburn Hills.
Now, during the course of this investigation, were banking records from the Crumbleys obtained?
Yes.
All right. Specifically on December the 2nd, so that'd be the Thursday, did you find that they had withdrawn cash on multiple occasions?
Yes, they did.
This is Exhibit 411. I believe this is covered under stipulations as well.
I'm sorry, did you say 411?
411, yeah.
That's not 411.
No, the next slide. I didn't want to publish it until you confirmed it was stipulated to.
Yes, it is.
Any objection to 411?
No objection, sorry.
411 is admitted.
There's our 200th, sorry.
410 was not.
Correct, Judge. Yes, thank you, Judge. Okay, what are we looking at here in Exhibit 411?
This is a withdrawal of $2,000 withdrawal transfer, $2,000 from Flagstar by Jennifer Crumbley.
Now, Edward Rogowski told us about replacement phones. Did you uncover that James and Jennifer Crumbley, after buying their track phones, bought another set of phones?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know the date and location where that happened?
That was in Owasso.
Owasso, Michigan?
Yep.
Okay. And that's on December the 2nd, 2021?
I'm sorry. Yes, it was on December 2nd.
Okay. This is going to be 413, the T-Mobile receipt.
No objection.
413 is admitted.
I got the two sorries. They were almost back to back.
Yes,
I did get both of them.
correct.
I think 200 is the correct count right now.
And so what are we looking at here?
This is the purchase of the two replacement phones.
Okay. And that was Owasso, Michigan on December the 2nd, 2021?
Yes.
Okay. What's the relative distance from Owasso to Auburn Hills?
It's about an hour.
Now, did they obtain more cash in this time frame?
Yes, they did.
Back to the banking records.
They bought
This
a
is,
screen protector too.
411.
You see that? They bought a screen
No objection
protector for
to
their
this.
burner
I believe
phone.
we stipulated to this. Is that correct, Counsel?
Yes.
Yeah.
411, okay. This is Friday, December the 3rd, 2021. And what is the withdrawal amount of cash in this exhibit?
$4,000.
Now, was evidence uncovered in the investigation that showed you a transfer or withdrawal was made from the defendant's son as well?
Yes.
This is Exhibit 414. Again, it's covered under stipulation. Move to admit.
Any objection to 414?
No objection.
Thank you, Debbie.
414 is admitted.
Thank you. So what are we looking at here in
3
Exhibit
months, 7
414?
days.
So this is the Simply Kids savings account, Ethan Crumbley's account.
Okay. And specifically on November the 30th, 2021, do you see a withdrawal from that account?
Yes, there was a $3,000 withdrawal that day.
And November 30th, is that significant to you?
That's the day of the shooting.
Okay. And how much was left in her son's account?
99 cents.
Ouch. I'd like to make a withdrawal.
So what we can tell from the banking records and messages,
James goes
at
to
this
trial
date in
next.
time, the defense obtained $6,000 in cash, $3,000 transferred from their son's account, and they were attempting another $5,000 from horse sales.
That is right. Yes, sir.
Now, do you know where the defendant went after she checked out of the Auburn Hills motel?
They traveled to the address in Detroit, the warehouse.
Okay, and that's the address that William Creer testified to yesterday, 1111 Belleville?
Yes, correct.
So I'm going to show you portions of that exterior surveillance footage that was obtained. Before we do, we've already talked about the timestamp difference. The timestamp on the video is about 22 or 23 minutes fast. Is that correct?
Yes.
think James
So
will
these
have
are-
the same
these will be-
judge. If I
we marked them
remember correctly.
separately for convenience, Judge. 415 and 416.
At one point, they were going to be tried together, and they just separated the
And people
cases.
will move to admit and publish now. We'll start with 415.
Any objection to 415 or 416?
No objection to 415. There is an objection to 416 because Mrs. Crumbley's not a part of it.
Judge, I think it is relevant to show what happened with the vehicle and why, especially in light of Mr. Kirkley's testimony yesterday and Mr. Creer's testimony yesterday.
Your Honor, it doesn't involve Mrs. Crumbley, so I would object.
I think it's relevant to their activities, and it's non-testimonial. I'm going to admit it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Again, I'll start with 415. Before we hit play.
This is
Again,
back
the
at the
timestamp
warehouse.
is 11:20 and 35 seconds on December the 3rd, 2021.
That's right.
Okay, so actual time would be approximately 10:58 a.m.
Correct, sir.
Okay.
Is it snowing? I think it's snowing. I believe the warehouse was owned by the guy who testified yesterday that had the coffee roasting company. I think this was his building and he rented it out to other people. I think he owned like the whole block or something. The guy with all the cars, the car elevator.
So what do we see here in the video at the 11:21 timestamp?
Yeah, so that's the a friend of the defendant who activated the security gate to open it, and the defendant pulled in and parked.
Okay, and again, this is the parking lot at 1111 Belleville in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
I can get texts from international locations. I just cannot respond to them. My burner phone doesn't let me. Apparently that's a paid feature. I didn't get that one, though. Sheree? I haven't seen it yet.
Tell me if you see anybody you recognize.
I recognize the defendant.
Maybe this person right here?
Yep. Yes.
And your friend you identified as this individual?
That's correct.
Did the friend get into trouble here?
Is James Crumbley depicted in this video as well?
Yes, that's James there.
Right here in the magnified portion?
Yes.
Okay.
Becky Bubbles, welcome to the gallery. Thanks for your second month of support. So this is Friday, the 3rd of December. This is the day they checked out of the hotel. If the time is right, it's very soon after the hotel. So I went straight from the hotel to this.
Before we start again, the timestamp is 16:10. First of all, what is 1600 hours?
That's 4 o'clock in military time.
Okay.
PM.
4
And
p.m.
And this would be, so shortly before 4 o'clock actual time on Friday the 3rd?
Yeah, 3:48, I think, or something like that.
Hey, John, I have to say thank you. Your package arrived with the hot chocolate. Thank you very much. My wife's a big fan. This is, I believe it's the Oakland County Courthouse. Judge Cheryl Matthews is the presiding judge. Okay, this is suspicious behavior right here. I say that because I do this with my cars in my driveway. But I do it because we back out onto a street that has a lot of traffic. It looks like in Michigan, I believe you're only required to have a license plate on the back of the car. So flipping the car around where there's only a license plate on the back would mean people have to walk around behind the car to see the license plate. So this would be suspicious because it looks like you're hiding the license plate from just normal observers who might be going by and might by chance see it. Remember the testimony from the building owner the other day. He had to walk around the back of the car with his flashlight to see the plate. This would go to them proving that the Crumbleys were hiding or were on the run.
So this is about 4 hours after the charges were officially announced? Is that
That's
right?
correct.
Okay. And about a day or so after the fugitive apprehension team began looking for them?
Yes.
Your Honor.
When charges?
Your Honor, I would object because this witness is saying no on the fugitive apprehension team. They came to my office on Friday.
Hold on.
Wait. Okay. He wouldn't have personal knowledge of the fugitive apprehension team, and he's saying the wrong date.
Judge, counsel can't insert that.
Well, you can't testify, but
they came to my office on
Friday. I want to know
Friday.
from his personal knowledge. One thing I think that would be helpful is, I don't think, would anything refresh your recollection about when the swear-to was?
The swear-to for, we mentioned two, Your Honor. So you talk about the swear-to for the defendant?
Yes.
The swear-to for the defendant was the December 3rd.
December 3rd.
December 3rd.
Okay.
Right. That's the same day.
When did you contact the fugitive apprehension team?
December 2nd evening or late afternoon, evening time to get an idea where the defendants were, because we believe charges would be forthcoming.
But they said that he said they came on the 3rd.
You mean Hendricks?
Yeah, and Hendricks came to my office on the 4th.
No. Hendricks, Friday the 3rd is when Hendricks testified that he showed up there. He was conducting surveillance prior to noon.
Oh, he was there without me. Okay.
It's all on the record.
Okay, yeah.
He was there without me.
You have to rely on the evidence from the witness stand, okay?
My clients have a lawyer.
You have to rely on your collective memories and your notes, right? Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Sir, you testified earlier that the swear-to that was broadcast was noon.
Was there a sorry there?
Friday, December 3rd.
Yes.
Okay. And this video is around 4 p.m. Friday the 3rd.
Correct.
Okay. Now, Luke Kirkley testified about looking at a poster online, and that's what spurred him to call 911. Do you recall that?
I do.
Okay. And so when a VOL or be on the lookout is announced, is a license plate of a vehicle also given?
Yes.
Okay. Was the license plate on this vehicle in the front of the vehicle or the back of the vehicle?
It was affixed to the back.
Got it. Now, sir, Mr. Robrowski already testified about the location data for Jennifer Crumbley on the day of the shooting, November the 30th, 2021. Do you recall that?
I do.
Okay, and as officer in charge, you're aware of that information that he uncovered?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to confirm that Jennifer Crumbley never stopped by her home at 112 East after meeting Mr. Hopkins at the Oxford High School?
No, she went directly back to work.
Okay. Now, you've had the chance to review phone logs as well as other information from social media and information obtained from Jennifer Crumbley's phone?
Yes.
Okay. And sir, do you have any experience getting someone same-day mental health help?
Yes, I do.
Are there facilities available for that?
Yes, there's a facility on this complex called Common Ground that's available for that.
In reviewing the phone logs of Jennifer Crumbley, was there any indication of any phone calls to a facility of that sort?
No.
In fact, any phone calls to any doctor's offices?
No.
Counselor offices?
No.
Any hospitals?
No.
Okay. Any mental health professionals at all?
No.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Cross.
Okay, thank you. Sergeant Willis, I want to go back to the pages from the shooter's journal that were admitted. You don't have any evidence to suggest that Mr. or Mrs. Crumbley ever saw the journal, correct?
I'm sorry, miss.
You do not have any evidence to show that Mr. or Mrs. Crumbley ever saw the journal.
I'm sorry. It's been a tough day. Okay. So you're asking me do I believe Mr. or Mrs. Crumbley?
I'm asking you.
Do I have evidence?
Do you have any evidence to believe that Mr. Crumbley or Mrs. Crumbley saw the journal?
No, if I had evidence of that, I imagine the charges would be different.
If you had evidence they saw the journal, the charges would be different?
Yeah, murder,
okay.
I would imagine.
Okay, so the journal was located in the backpack that belonged to the shooter, correct?
Yes, correct.
There were also a number of other papers in that backpack that you described?
Yes.
You don't have any evidence that Mrs. Crumbley ever saw any of those papers, correct?
Correct.
Now, in the journal, you've testified about certain statements the shooter wrote in the journal, correct?
Yes.
And specifically, one of the statements that you testified about was where the shooter wrote, "I have access to the gun." Is that correct?
Yes.
In the journal, there are other statements where he indicates he is looking for the gun, correct?
Can you tell me which ones you're referencing?
Sure. So I'm going to hand you, Your Honor, may I please approach?
Sure, just show Mr. Keystridge.
Sure.
Yeah,
I have a copy of it too, if that helps.
Judge, just briefly, this was subject of a prior court ruling.
Yes. So I ask everybody to be really careful.
Be really careful.
Okay, so I was going to show 788, just this one line.
Okay. Again, Judge, maybe we should have a minute outside the presence of the jury.
Your Honor, can we just approach and I can show you?
I have it, and I know
Do you want to clean?
No, it's not that. We have to discuss the court's prior ruling.
Your Honor, I think, okay.
All right. I'm going to
Here we go.
for 10 minutes.
Here we go. Now we get into the court's prior ruling. This is important. We have not heard the prior ruling. The attorneys know this because it was handled before trial began. This is a pre-trial motion that was ruled on by the judge, or it was ruled on. The ruling came in outside of our view, so hopefully we'll be able to get to hear a little bit on this. Got my fingers crossed.
I'm fine here, Your Honor. Thank you.
I'll be brief, Judge. The court is aware where I'm going.
I am well aware.
Yes. So the court rules specific passages to be admissible under specific portions of the hearsay exception in response to defendant's request to exclude the entire journal. I don't want to speak for what counsel is doing.
She's kicking the door open.
But if counsel is going to admit other portions that have already been ruled to be inadmissible, that's something that has to be discussed on the record, and I think it's something that has to be ratified, Judge.
Well, I am, of course, going to warn everybody about opening the door because this journal is obviously very, very disturbing. However, if when you put the black robe on, you can read people's minds. So I'm assuming that Ms. Smith is seeking to admit on page 788, I don't know where my dad hid it.
Yes.
And also on page 795, where he says, I have to find where my dad hid the 9mm. Isn't that what she's seeking to do?
Yes.
That's what it looks like.
That's correct.
Are you seeking to do anything beyond that? Be specific, because I can't unring the bell, right?
That's correct. I'm seeking to do those two with the claim about access to the gun. And the detective also testified to a statement about, I'm going to get the gun. So I wanted to impeach him with, on 789, there is a statement that says, it's one line, however, I don't want to be caught, as that will make me getting the 9mm impossible.
It's not impeachment because he's not the declarant.
Well,
This puts
I'm
context.
hamstrung because these statements are coming in by a declarant that I'm not allowed to call as a witness. And under the same...
I want to back up a second. I never said that you could not call the shooter as a witness.
I was getting the vibe that would be the ruling of the court.
No, that'll never be the ruling of the court. I'm not telling you that you can't.
Whoa.
I am not, as a judge in this court, telling you you cannot call the shooter as a witness. However, we've been over this before. We're going to go over it again this afternoon. Pursuant to case law,
You can't call a witness who's going to plead the fifth.
Aware of, including a case called Jackaloni. It's 399 Mich 642, a 1977 case. No one is allowed to put a witness in front of this jury who was going to take the fifth. No one. It's not me.
Well,
I'm not keeping you from calling someone as a witness, but his Fifth Amendment rights have been asserted repeatedly. And I can't let you put a witness on the stand. Anyone, the prosecution too. I wouldn't let the prosecution put someone on the stand, knowing that that person was going to take the Fifth Amendment, take the fifth. If someone takes the fifth in front of the jury, it's over. It's a mistrial. I can't let you do that, right? And I also asked before, aside from what is your favorite color, I can't imagine something you could ask the shooter that would not implicate his Fifth Amendment rights. His current attorneys, the State Defender's Office, have asserted his rights. They've said he will not testify.
I understand that. I have said I would still like him to testify, so I just need a finding by the court that under case law he's not going to testify.
I'm not making a finding that he's not going to testify. His lawyers have asserted the fifth. You're not allowed to put someone on the stand that
would be misconduct.
Will take the fifth.
Prosecutorial misconduct.
In reality, if they say he won't testify, I don't know what am I going to do. I'm going to insist that he testify and then hold him in contempt and put him in jail. Is that?
Well, Your Honor, I understand the court's position, but for the record in this case,
and by the way, I understand your position as well.
I've indicated.
I do.
For as far as our position, I've indicated I don't believe the shooter should be allowed to plead the fifth because he was sentenced. He's made statements about the crimes. He pled guilty to all 24 counts in adult court, and so I don't.
So you think that's over? Do you think that's over?
Well, I think there is not case law that says he gets to continue his Fifth Amendment rights beyond that plea. I don't disagree with you.
His appellate rights?
He's going to pursue an appeal. I don't disagree.
All right. So, what would make me think he does not still have Fifth Amendment rights?
There's case law directly on point.
I know, and some of those are indicated in the letter provided by the State Appellate Defender's Office, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I understand your position. I also understand, to a certain extent, I don't, even if he was called as a witness, you understand that then the prosecution would have a right to cross-examine him, right? So, I'm not keeping you from calling him. The law is keeping you from calling him. You are not permitted to put someone in front of this jury who is going to take the fifth.
I understand.
Yes.
That's the ruling then. That the law doesn't allow me to. Is that correct? Okay.
By smarter, higher courts than this one.
If that's the ruling, is that the court is going to follow the law the court said.
I'm going to follow the law.
Then I've preserved the record and I'm moving on.
Okay.
So then these statements are coming in. They've come in as present sense impressions.
Okay.
And I'm not using them at all for the truth of the matter asserted because I don't know whether he found the gun or didn't find the gun or was looking for the gun. But this statement shows his state of mind, so I believe it falls under the exception, saying he doesn't want to be caught because it will make him getting the gun impossible. So his state of mind is not wanting to get caught. And that's important impeachment to the testimony from the detective that he said he was going to get the gun.
Okay, so are you addressing that statement or also there's the I don't know where my dad hit it and there's a statement I have to find where my dad hid the 9mm?
The two hiding ones are one issue And then the second issue is I don't want to be caught.
All right, and
that's it.
Okay, do you have any legal support for that? Just present sense impression.
And just straight impeachment rules.
Again, impeachment doesn't apply here. Impeachment is if a witness he didn't make the statement. I mean, that's not in dispute.
It's testimony.
It's not impeachment.
I can impeach through other witnesses. I can impeach by omission. I believe under straight impeachment rules, I can use this. This is being admitted as substantive evidence. So I can impeach with something written on a napkin.
Okay, but I guess what he's saying, and this came up too with regard to the privilege records.
Correct.
Which we'll talk about again. Who are you impeaching though?
I'm impeaching the shooter's statements that have been deemed substantive evidence. And I'm not given the option to impeach through the shooter, so I'm seeking to impeach through the officer in charge.
Okay, so why wouldn't I allow those statements, Mr. Keith?
It's not permissible. It's not under, and counsel has not cited the rule for that. It's not permissible. And I just want to inquire of the court if counsel is permitted to do that. Am I allowed then to ask about other passages?
Well, that's what I'm concerned about.
I mean, there are a number
of... How do they relate to this?
I mean, just in the first 2 pages alone, Judge, we have...
This is a heated argument, but they're doing it very calmly.
If you see the picture of the gun on Instagram, we'll know what's up. We have...
Yeah, all of these things, all these things, with exception of the period of time that I was stayed by the Supreme Court, to me could have been addressed, so this sort of doesn't feel like the time to be doing this. But.
Earlier in the trial, when I found that the court wanted to know what objections were going to be made, I stood up and said, I know this is going to be an issue, and the court said, we'll handle it down the road in trial. I made the court aware of that. That was on Monday or Tuesday when there was some friction about another objection. I said, this is going to be coming, and the court said, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay, because I guess my position is that we should have crossed that bridge before we impaneled a jury. That's just,
Judge, we put the passages the court specifically ruled as admissible, nothing more.
Okay, but why would her request to allow those 3 passages because they're present sense impression?
Well, I don't necessarily agree there's present sense impression because there's certain requirements for present sense impression as well as state of mind. We can't be talking about a future plan. And there's Brady, his friend is gone, he has no friends. My wrist hurts from writing in this, fucking book so much. I haven't felt generally happy in years. I can feel the evil around me, even dogs sense it. I mean, that's just on page 5.
That doesn't impeach, though, anything that I'm using. And the prosecution didn't seek to admit those things. I also didn't...
We've only admitted what specifically would be covered under the rules that the court permitted us to over a year ago.
Yeah.
We're not trying to push the envelope here because, as the court is, we don't want to inject any kind of error, Judge. So we kept this extremely close to what the court has specifically authorized.
It's not the witness's testimony. He's talking about something else.
Which provisions specifically do you say are present sense impression? I don't know that they are. I don't know that they are.
Present sense impression is an exception to the hearsay rule.
Page 788. I don't know where my dad hid it.
I'm finding the provision right now.
It's just, my concern is more along opening the door.
Yeah, that seems to be the theme.
8043, then existing mental emotional condition.
What I'm asking is opening the door to all the texts coming in. I believe my impeachment is very limited. It's limited to 3 sentences.
Co-counsel would be handy here.
And
Okay, you're offering under 803.
Under 803, and let me just find
803.3 is then existing mental, emotional, physical condition.
Good job. Matthew, you're right. Then existing mental, emotional condition. This witness, some witnesses are allowed to stay in the courtroom. Sometimes lead investigators and things like that, like the gentleman in the black suit.
Existing mental, emotional, or physical condition.
I think that's a then existing.
I have a headache. I feel sick. Right.
It also says such as intent, plan, motive, design, and so his plan to give puppy eyes or whatever. I mean, his plan to not give puppy eyes. I'm sorry. His plan to act in a way so he's not caught, I think, does fit under the rules. Because it talks about intent, plan, motive, design, mental, feeling, pain, or bodily health.
So here's
I think it should come
the
in.
crux of the issue.
That's just me.
Is that for a year and a half we had just those 5 or 6 portions admissible by the court. This trial was prepared from the prosecution standpoint with just those admissible because the court was very specific in its ruling. And so now defense is using that ruling as a sword and a shield. And so if the court wants to make a substantive ruling mid-trial, I think I'm entitled to at least a minute to
not.
Your Honor, I'm the one that filed the motion that brought this issue up. I filed an appeal with the Court of Appeals.
I'm aware.
Okay. I got their exhibits after trial started, identifying these portions of the journal.
Okay.
That after trial started.
You've had this journal as have I.
Absolutely.
For a long time.
I have, and that's why I filed an extensive motion about it. But now that they're using bits and pieces in trial,
we used only that was identified on June 27, 2022.
It shouldn't preclude me from impeaching.
Okay, but that's what I'm going back to. Who are you impeaching? What rule allows you to impeach someone who's not testifying?
It's complicated because I can't impeach the person that I want to impeach through testimony. So you're right. I'm hamstrung. My client has a constitutional right to present a defense, though.
I'm aware of that.
And I'm getting hamstrung and stuck because of other extraneous legal issues. This is straight impeachment. So what I'm providing is not going to be admitted as substantive evidence. It's impeachment.
So she's being hamstrung by her own motions to exclude. Her own motions to exclude. We didn't move to exclude any of this evidence. Counsel did it after the preliminary examination. And this court was specific in its ruling.
Well, there should have been a motion to include as well as what they're saying.
There's no rule, there's no requirement for anybody, any party to have a motion to include, especially when counsel specifically identified this piece of evidence as being inadmissible. The court made the ruling.
Well, I guess I'm saying if you were in fear at all that this court would rule incorrectly, you would still have an opportunity to appeal that ruling.
And we didn't appeal the ruling. We didn't.
Your Honor, I would have filed a motion if there was substantive information additionally that I wanted to admit. I've never filed a motion to have the ability to impeach. I'm asking to impeach. No one files motions to say, may I impeach this?
Because this is the third time during the trial.
There's motions in limine with regard. This
Welcome, Cindy.
Is very disturbing, and every time any of us have read it, we've been up all night, right? So this has been a glaring thing in this trial. This isn't a middle of the trial type of game plan here.
Right. Just so the record, is clear, because I know the court's aware. We went through the Facebook messages detailing alcohol use. We talked yesterday in depth about the extramarital affairs that were previously excluded, and now the journal. This is the third time mid-trial. We just need the ground rules. The court gave us those ground rules a long time ago. We prepared a case in accordance with that. So if the door's open, the door's open.
Okay, well, that concerns me too. I'm going to take a brief recess.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, so you can step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You can't discuss your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Judge is going to think this over.
All right.
Maybe she'll come back with a proper ruling. Oftentimes she sort of just talks through her
may be seated.
Good mindset.
Good mindset.
Very noisy here. Sorry. Audio's off. Okay. Oftentimes the judge just talks through where she's at mentally, and then they just sort of proceed. She doesn't say, I'm going to sustain this objection or I'm going to overrule that one. But this one sounds like it's more substantive. And what they're arguing about here is that that we have in the court. Let's see, I think this is Germany. Is this Mattis? Hang on.
Call from
Mathis.
Mathis it is. Mathis, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I have a call in 5 minutes, but I will. I'm going to take this break from work to say, is there any sense of fairness when the prosecution can bring this part of the journal in that says one thing about his access to the gun, and the defense then can't bring another part in, and they can't call the witness because he will take the fifth?
Okay, so we heard that a little bit, that the defendant has a constitutional right to be able to present a defense, right? And the judge is like, I realize that I can't stomp on those constitutional rights, but we've got this ruling where we're going to keep this book out, and we're only allowing these parts in for, they've narrowly allowed it in, but I think they have to allow some sort of, and I don't know if impeachment is the right word. Maybe that's the problem. She's in there. I need to impeach this witness. It's not that witness's testimony. He's basically just reading something out of a book. So it's like one link down the road. We're not impeaching this witness. I think what she wants to do is say, you stood up and testified that that the shooter, said he had access to the gun, and he's going to, all do these awful things at school. She wants to say, was there evidence that he did not have access to the gun?
Yes, and I think that the key issue and the legality of it is the substantive evidence portion, where the state wants something in as substantive evidence, and she wants it to discredit an impression that was created by the witness who spoke about this portion of evidence. And so
that seems
the state says, okay, I can give you this impression. The defense says, aha, but I can now impeach you with this part that gives you this impression. And I think when you can't call the idea that you would have to call the shooter for impeachment of this impression, when the shooter can take the fifth, and so she can't impeach that impression through this witness who gave the impression, I think that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think this is why on a big case like this you have co-counsel. This is a one-man show on the defense side, and having somebody who's able to scramble through and flip through, look at the law, look at the exceptions, the hearsay exceptions, help with the argument, pass you a sticky note when you get in a pinch. This is coming back to bite her a little bit. So Goodman Law says the defense attorney is making the wrong argument. She's impeaching the detective who is saying the shooter had access, which is why the case was brought. Yeah.
I think ultimately there's going to be there's also one piece of evidence that I want to comment on, which is he said that if he had evidence that they knew about the journal's contents, there would be a murder charge. And this is kind of the argument that I've been rolling around in my head this entire week for the motion for directed verdict that I would make, that if you allow the jury to infer knowledge of danger based on the warning signs, why don't we also go to murder? Because when they knew about the warning signs and made a conscious decision that they were indifferent to the threat, that they cared more about horses than affairs, than the possibility that their son might shoot up the school, and that they had the specific state of mind required for this crime, that they knew he was a danger, but they didn't care to take preventative measures because the possibility of a school shoot didn't ring serious enough for them in their mind, and they bought him a gun. Then tell me, how is this? How can you not also have mens rea for intent if you get recklessness? they don't have, there's no evidence they had this specific state of mind of understanding that he posed a risk. The understanding is not there. The signs that could have led to the understanding are there, but the understanding itself is just not. So you don't have gross negligence.
Yeah.
That's my last word on that.
Mathis, I hate that you have to leave us and go to a meeting. I always love getting your insights. I also want to know when you're going to take the bar exam and ace it.
Yeah, I probably need to.
I love your insight. I love your understanding on the topic. I want to see what the judge does, because I do think there's something. There's a question of fairness that she's weighing right now, where we have the state has used a piece of evidence that the defense is not allowed to use the other side of the same coin. Okay, they brought in one side of the coin and shown you the heads, and the state is not allowed to show you the tail, and that just doesn't seem right. But at the same time, the judge has another point where she's like, "Look, this is what pretrial motions are for. This should have been sorted out before we set a jury a long time. I hate that we're here right now discussing things that are bordering mistrial. Right? We're walking a little tightrope."
And the justification the defense would have for that is, well, if I wanted to, for impeachment purposes, I don't have to give notice and I don't have to file motions. Impeachment is
that was a sound argument. So I like that.
But we'll have to see if that works.
I wonder if she's going to allow in the first two comments about I don't know where it is and not allow the third. That's my gut impression, but I want to hear her reasoning for that when she makes the ruling. And that's, I mean, if I had to vote, that's where it's at. Mathis?
This specific problem is definitely super interesting to watch on appeal if there is a conviction. So I'm going to pay more attention to that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I want to talk about that. I'll let you go, Mathis. Thank you so much. Enjoy your meeting.
Okay, have a great day. Bye.
I'll see you. Bye. I wanted to bring up, there was before this, the defense attorney, Shannon, was trying to get the judge to issue a ruling about calling the shooter as a witness. And she wants the judge to say it. She's like, put it in writing. Say it. I need you to tell me I can't call that witness. And the judge is like, I'm not going to say which ones you can and can't call. I can't be making that decision. But at the same time, the law exists that says you can't call a witness that you know is going to plead the fifth. And so she's trying to walk this stance, and she's like, but I need you to rule so I have something to appeal. And so she's trying to get the judge to step in, to put the words down on paper so that it lays that groundwork so she can then preserve the record for the appeal. And it ended up that her record for the appeal is on the appeal. It's like, here it says the court says, we agree, we're going to follow the law. And you're like, oh, good. Well, I'm going to appeal that. I'm not sure if that's going to fly. I don't think that's the record that she needs to make that appeal. But that was sort of funny to watch how that went down. Say the words, Kelsian. Say the words. Judge is not going to get tricked into that. But I think previously she did sort of say the words. I think if you go back to the transcript, I think she said, "I'm not going to allow you to call him because he's going to plead the fifth." But good stuff. Judge now we're waiting on the judge now because she's mulling this over, looking at the law books and. Deciding where to go with this. Let's see if we have enough time for one more call.
Donald King.
Hey, I missed the name. This is Scott. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's Donald King.
Donald. Donald, what are your thoughts today?
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about what everybody's saying in the chat about mental health.
Okay. You got to make it quick because they're going to be done with break in a little bit. So.
I'll make it real quick. Mm-hmm. I was a correctional officer. I saw a buddy of mine get cut from the groin to the sternum. I ended up having to hold his innards in, and I went to counseling for that.
Yeah.
People think if she would have got him help right away, it would have been a magic bullet. But it took me almost 3 weeks to get in to see a therapist. It took me another week and a half to get to see the person I saw. And one of the first things she told me is when we bring all these feelings and emotions to the surface, you're actually going to get worse before you get better.
Yeah, you've got to go through it first and flesh it all out and then work on getting better.
Right. So it's not a magic bullet. You don't go 1 or 2 times and get better right away. Yeah. It took a while.
Yeah. Man, I'm sorry you went through that. That is terrible.
Well, it's part of the job. The good thing is 6 months later, he was all better and came back to work. So he ended up fine. But
wow,
it wasn't good. It wasn't good at the time.
Yeah, I can. Wow, that's terrible. Impressive.
You know, the mental health is not it's not a magic bullet. You don't go one or two times and you're better. It takes a while. And so there's no, you can't say he wouldn't have done this anyway, even if he'd been treated right away. So that's all I wanted to say.
Donald, thank you very much. Appreciate the insight. As gruesome as it was. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, my friend.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. I missed a comment. I was going to say something about here. I had a thought I was going to share with you, and it was insightful and really witty, and now it's gone. But consider yourself informed and humored at the same time. How about that? It'll come back to me. The judge didn't make up her mind. She took a break to check on what I was saying, says Marie. No. I think the judge's husband watches. I'm not sure which feeds he watches. And it sounds like the counsel may watch. And we've heard, we've learned from other courts that lawyers frequently will watch and pay attention to what the public is saying in various forums. Let's see. That's quite a scar. Oh, my goodness. I don't know. I'm hung up. If the judge comes back and says no, if she just flat out says no, we're not going to allow you to cross. And if she does, it will probably be to the effect of that's not impeaching. You're not impeaching the witness. I don't know what the terminology there is, but it's going to be along the lines of what the state said. It leaves me thinking with that's not fair. And I want to know what would be fair. What would be fair? Well, clearly, calling the defendant or calling the son to the stand would be fair, but he's going to plead the fifth, and so she's hamstrung. She's got somebody who refuses to testify. So there is other evidence. How does she get that in properly if the court has ruled that evidence is not admissible? And then if it's not admissible, how then do we have parts of it admitted for the state? Wouldn't you? I mean. Is it time to throw around the mistrial word? Because you've got evidence that you're allowing one side to use and you're not allowing the other side to cross. Is that mistrial worthy? Does it rise to that level? Darla Shannon gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, Darla. That's very generous of you. Let's see, Linda, I think somebody said you had a good point. Linda, you say you never get picked for a gifted membership. Make sure your selection is turned on. You have to tell YouTube you're willing to receive it for it to conclude you. So if one person, I think one of the mods will type ! gifts in chat, and then you click the link. I think it's gifts with an S. Sorry, Matthew. You got hasty. Then you click on the link that pops up in chat, and there you go. It'll allow you to change the setting. Make sure the sliders move to the right when you click on the link, and it's going to come up in chat in just a second. There it is. Boom. Click on that in chat and move the slider to the right, and make sure you're eligible to receive gifts. Brooke says, gifts are given if you like and comment. It's not that straightforward, but participation on YouTube's told us that but participation is weighed in the factor of how they choose who to give gifts to. But I don't know, from there on, I don't know how they pick people. Speaking of gifts, it is February 1st. It's February 1st, with it being a new month. Tonight on our podcast, every month YouTube gives us 10 promotional gift memberships to give away. So we'll be giving away those memberships tonight. If you're a friend of the channel and want to receive a gift and have a hard time getting it, our podcast has a lot fewer people listening to it, and that's fine. We're fine with that. It's a great little group. But the odds of winning a membership of the podcast are much higher than the odds of winning a membership when we have a good crowd like we have right now. So I'd encourage you to watch our podcast tonight on this channel. It's the Not Relevant Podcast. Weather Watch and myself, one of my mods, his name is Thomas, a great friend of mine and just an amazing individual. We talk about some of the humorous things, some interesting things that have happened around the world in the week. And we do it in the same format that this is, live with your involvement. So we'd love to have you join us there tonight, 8 p.m. tonight. And you might win a membership too. Susie Hat 44 gifted 5 memberships as well. You might win one right now, thanks to Susie. Thank you very much, Susie. That's super generous. Sue McDonald says, I got a gift to membership to a channel I've never watched. Someone might be using your phone or your device. I didn't know you could do that. All right, we're still waiting for the judge to make her decision. She might be mulling this one over longer than normal. I don't know how long she's been out there. Coordinator Chris Kitsune. Coordinator Kitsune, welcome to the gallery. Thank you very much. New members, make sure you type ! seat in chat. That's SEAT with an exclamation point in front of it. That will allow you to take your reserved seat in the front row. BZ also is gifting membership. See, this is an amazing community. They're super generous. Judges phoning a friend. I imagine they are. Honestly. Now, I don't know if we have any retired judges here that will own up to this, but I'm sure lawyers phone a friend, right? Lawyers will consult with people. Does a judge do the same thing? It's like, I'm going to head back to my office and think this over. And they're like, hey, bud, I know I called you about 10 minutes ago, but I got another one for you. Help me out here. You owe me from that other trial. Remember when I carried your docket load for that week when you went on vacation at the last minute? Yeah. Can you help me out here? I think that happens. I like to think it does. Mary Tedeschi gifted 5 memberships as well. Thank you, Mary. Super generous. All right. Trying to keep up on chat. This is a fun community. I would ask that you guys continue to be respectful, especially with your opinions. We have very diverse opinions here. We have people here, and I'm not trying to make this a topic of conversation for chat, but just as if you divided us politically, you would have every spectrum covered here. You would have people from every type of party, from every political persuasion you can think of. Represented here in chat, and the fact that we have this amazing community that sees things differently, I think, makes this process of court watching better. It makes it so that we're not just looking at it from one vantage point and all in the same box together. It makes us smarter, and it makes us be able to. I think it makes us better listeners, because we get to hear other arguments, other ideas about different ways to look at things than our own. Which I will tell you, I'm usually wrong initially. At least partially. Sometimes I'm right, but that rarely happens. I'm usually wrong, and I'm usually a little bit undereducated. And being able to listen to you and hear your argument as it's laid out in a respectful way here in chat or on the phone enables us to learn. And honestly, you do more to bring somebody to your side of the argument by making a respectful commentary and exchange than you can by laying down the law and say, I'm sorry, but if you don't think this way, then going to block you. Well, you're welcome to do that too, but that doesn't convince people. You catch more flies with honey than with vinegar or something like that, right? Peggy Cole says, I think the defense wanted the journal out. They did. And Peggy, I'm wondering if she's almost doing the same thing she did with the last motion in limine with the affair. Now she might be wanting it in. I don't know. I will tell you, I don't want it in for the fact that the content is just what we've heard is awful, just awful. Amber's on the phone, one of our great mods. Amber, how are you doing today?
I've got a migraine, but
should I talk quieter?
Okay.
Sorry, I yelled it.
I don't think you know how.
I've got one volume. It's either on or off. I apologize. What can I do for you? We've got just a moment here, I think.
Laughing makes my head hurt, but that was funny. I have a couple of things. I have lots of things I want to say on this particular topic, but I'm reserving my commentary because this is a very complex case. And I will admit I was one that was quick to judge, or quick to come to a conclusion with my steadfast belief in how to parent.
Luckily, we're all perfect parents. And so we can tell people how to do it.
I am not, and I am proud to admit that I am not. I learn every day how to be a better parent. Multiple times a day, how to be a better parent. What we can't do is put ourselves in somebody else's shoes. I know we say it all the time, put yourself in somebody else's shoes. But the reality of it is that you can't honestly put yourself in somebody else's shoes until you've been in that situation. So passing so much judgment on somebody else for situations none of us, more than likely, have ever been through.
Hopefully
and I hope
never
none
will.
of us ever have, and hopefully never will. I hope nobody has to ever go through this, but unfortunately the sad reality of society is not on our side with that. Yeah. But the problem is that everybody is so quick to pass judgment on how parenting was happening, when if you look at this situation, remove your emotional part of this whole process of hearing all of the vile details, of hearing all of the disgusting things that were journaled, of hearing all of this stuff and seeing all of the footage, take the emotion out of it and ask yourself, what tense situation have I been in? What did I think of 2 days later that I should have done and while I was in that situation? Or what should I have said? Or that great argument between you and your spouse, and then you think of a week later the best thing that you could have come back and said, man, I should have said this, and it would have got him. You know, think of those.
I don't recommend doing that with a spouse. Just let me just put this out there. Getting the last word of the spouse, I don't think ever results in good stuff. Now, there may be cases, in my experience, I'll put it that way. Amber, I've got a bunch of things that are dropping off. If I don't address, they're going to disappear. I've got to address some messages that popped up on the screen.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see. We have Mary Kay just sent a huge super chat saying, I had doctors, nurses, and others listening to you while in the hospital this week. That is awesome. We have, oh no, it's going so fast. Where did it go? Let's see. Lulu gifted 1 membership. Thank you very much. William Hosey, welcome to the gallery. Annie Marie says, please hit the like button. Let's get RA to 55,000. Happy Thursday. Carolyn McDonald gifted a membership as well. Thank you, all of you. Mary Tedeschi, we had the 5 memberships earlier. Susie Hatt gifted 5 memberships. I didn't want to leave anyone out. I apologize if I missed them. They were going really fast on the screen. Super generous, all of you. Thank you. Thank you for making this community so inviting. What the final thought from you, Amber? Go ahead.
Well, there's lots of final thoughts. I was trying to go back and find the comment, and I can't find it now. Somebody was saying that we put a lot of stress on mental health. I really was trying to find this comment. Whoever said that, can you say it again? We put a lot of stress on behavioral health, and it can't be ignored because of the quote unquote times. And understandably, that's very true. Mental health is no joke, especially and the what was his name? He just called in.
Mathis.
Or
no,
Donald. Not Mathis.
Donald.
Donald. He gave that recall account of his that gave him, a similar kind of PTSD, situation, scenario. And I want you to understand that it's not just the shooter that has. Hey, there you go. Good job. We can say all day long that the shooter had a mental health crisis or had something going on that needed addressed, that falls within the mental health realm. And especially for those of us that are in medicine or in EMT or in any kind of medical field or response team, we typically have that ability to compartmentalize, and we push it off. And as he said, it doesn't go away until you actually deal with it, and it does get worse. But who is to say there were no mental health issues at all with the parents. So whose mental health is more important? And that's not a question that you can answer, because everybody's mental health is important, right?
I don't know. There's
I'm not
so much
making
that
excuses.
I think there's so much that has to be proved. We have to know inside the parents' minds, I think, for this to be a solid conviction, or at least the jury has to believe they know.
Right. The problem, though, Scott, is that this is such an emotionally triggered topic in such a emotionally provoking area, because that's where this happened. I'm not confident that emotion is going to be removed here, and I fear for the parents in this case, because you do have to prove the elements. How do you prove that Jennifer and James Crumbley knew what he was thinking? It's like the literature question of, tell me what the writer was thinking when they wrote these words. I don't know. Why didn't you ask him before he died? That would have been a better solution.
Amber,
and you can't say what somebody else is thinking, and they're not going to prove it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Amber.
I really don't.
I'm gonna catch off there. I appreciate it. I say take something for your headache and lay down. I appreciate you. We are hopefully going to come back to court here in just a minute, but I did want to address one thing after you hang up here, so you can't respond, just like the state did with the evidence here that the defense can't respond to.
That is cruel and unusual punishment.
but I don't operate under the same rules. So thanks, Amber. I appreciate your call. I really do. Good to hear from you. Bye. Amber brought up a great point about the hot button issue. This is the reason why this is so difficult is because and we have Mr. Upper Torso, Mr. Upper Torso.
Mr. Upper Torso.
Hold on just one second, Mr. Upper Torso.
Of course.
The reason this hot button issue, there are literally people that go out and vote solely on this topic. Like, they will choose a candidate based on the candidate's position on this topic. That's how huge or how important it is to them. And then we have this case that's involved this topic, and I'm talking about firearms. And now we have to sort of look at this and possibly stray from our strongly held position that we literally vote. We try to influence the country in this direction because of how we feel. And it makes it difficult to have the conversation. Mr. Upper Torso, please enlighten us with your insights.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I don't know how things are going to go, but I certainly hope a guilty verdict doesn't surprise too many people if it happens, because if anyone's getting hung up on the idea that the state needs to prove that the parents knew he was going to do this shooting, that's what comes into the detective's answer of, no, if we had evidence for that, we'd be charging them with conspiracy murder.
That was the zinger of the day. That was such a zing.
Wow, your face was mine too. I'm like, ooh, I don't think that was the answer she wanted. And because we're talking about involuntary manslaughter, it's the most obvious comparable example is drunk driving. You go out drunk driving, you don't intend to kill anybody. It was not in your mind. You didn't hate that guy on the side of the road you might have hit. It was never in your mind to take him out, but you did. It's still a crime. So what they need to prove with the state is not that the parents knew it was going to happen, but that a reasonable person would see the risk and the inaction or actions could lead to it. And I don't think this case is going to be just one thing. I'm sure there's a lot of parents out there that could miss one thing. And I think that's maybe why this case is a first and maybe rare. Maybe there are just so many signs, too many things. When you add it up, it's hard to ignore.
Mr. Upper Torso, you brought up the drunk driving one, and I've had a hard time finding another example to compare this case to, because it's apples and oranges.
Comparable.
Right? It's the most comparable. Yeah. But wouldn't it actually be more accurate to say that you're charging the bar owner or the server at the bar who serves the guy who goes out drunk driving?
Well, let's actually get real comparative about it. What if you have a teenager and the parent knows they're drunk and gives them the keys to the car? What about that? Okay,
that's a very good one. I think that is, but here in that situation, you've got a parent that gives them the key. Okay, in that case, it would have to be a teenager who is not allowed to drive. It has to be like a 14-year-old, right?
And I'm not saying that the evidence here is that definite, that we have evidence that they knew it was like, that. But I'm saying that there are cases where parents have been prosecuted for that. So that's just why I bring it up, because that is an example of a parent having liability for the risk that their child was in. So I don't know how the jury's going to feel. If I'm perfectly honest, maybe this case is unique, but I think this is an overflowing of frustration, because I have heard the conversation of, how do we stop these school shootings? What do we have to do? Do we have to start charging the parents? This case almost feels like an overflowing of that. I don't know if it's legally sound. We're going to have to see what the jury thinks, but I would not
just
be
the jury, but then the
if,
Supreme Court, because that's where it's
and
going to
of
go.
course, we got to follow
It'll
the
go all the way up.
But this case is a little special because they appealed the charges, and from what I understand, the higher court said, nope, it can go to court, or they didn't hear it. I think
they declined to hear it. And
that's right, but they were like, not our issue, it can go to court, I guess.
But maybe it's because they're waiting until somebody brings the issue to them that has standing, right? That
Absolutely,
says, you need to be harmed by this before you can be the person that brings this to the court. And so I'm not sure if I would put weight on what the court did before as to any indication of what they might do in the future on a ruling on this, because we're just not sure. But we know it's going to go there eventually. Whatever happens here, it's going to go there.
And the defense is always playing a long game. They are trying to get their case out to the jury and be personable in that way, but they are, thinking about appeals, and, they don't want to object all the time to piss off the jury, but they have to get it on the record. So it is a hard game. It's a bit of a balance, and defense lawyers know success doesn't always look like a not guilty verdict. It's you do the best you can for your client, and sometimes that is, getting it knocked down a little bit in appeals. You do what you can.
Yep. I'm excited to see what happens here. I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for the judge's
We will
ruling on this. What's your gut impression, what the judge is going to say regarding this entry from the journal, these 3 entries?
Whew. She is in a bit of a tough place, and I think she's she's so locked, because the defense lawyer's only options, as she said, is she either brings up the shooter or she brings up the therapist that spoke to him, and there is like an but a privilege both
protection.
ways. And
yes.
Other than bringing in everything in the journal and making an argument that, hey, can we really trust this guy? Like, he was probably being secretive to his parents. He was probably hiding this journal. Like, other than it's going to be hard. I don't know. I mean, I think the judge, I see her back. I think the judge is going to try to be fair to her. So let's see.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Repertorso. As always, your insights is amazing. I'd love to talk to you anytime. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy to call in.
We'll see you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
And there's a long story behind the name. But that is Mr. Repertorso. Ivan, I'm sorry, this one showed up funny. It says, Ivan says, if I couldn't sell booze to alcoholics or people with DUIs, I'd go out of business in a month. Ivan, our resident liquor store owner, and a friend of the program, with his own channel, by the way. He's starting a podcast with another friend of the channel, Ricky Watson. They had their first podcast episode last night as they're putting things together. Look forward to hearing that. I think that's called Old Cop and Ex-Con is what their podcast is, or vice versa, one of the two. But it's a great little podcast. I can't wait to see how they develop that. All right. What's Ivan's page? Can we have a mod link Ivan's page, please? Only our mods can link pages right now, so I apologize for that. I've got a call coming in, but I'll answer it, but I might have to hang up on him right away. Hang on.
Call from
Witchy Mama.
Witchy Mama, court is back right now. I can't take the call. I'm sorry. Sorry about it. She said I'll rise.
I'll text it to you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Bye. All right. Done for calls here. We're back in the case. Let's hear what the judge said. This is still outside the presence of the jury. We're waiting for a ruling.
Your Honor, calling People v. Jennifer Crumbley, case number 22279-990-FH.
Good morning. Thank you. Marquis and People.
Karen down the line here.
And Shannon's Jennifer Crumbley.
Okay, so I'm going to have a couple questions for you. This is certainly one of the kind of things that you want to spend some time on. Initially, I want to point out that you have said you want a statement. However, I do not want to be caught, as that will make me getting the 9mm impossible. That's what you said you want. Okay, here's the problem with that. It might be a future plan, but this isn't a future plan not to get caught planning to shoot up the school. This is a future plan with regard to Jeffrey, right? Which is discussed extensively prior to this, right? Jeffrey, Jeffrey would be the bird and the bird head,
Oh.
right? So.
Oh, I see. Okay,
So there's.
That would open the door. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and of course I guess.
I do not want to be caught, as that will make me getting the 9mm impossible. He's talking about getting caught with the bird head in a jar and the terrible things he did to baby birds. So I'm pretty sure that you do not want that to come in.
Right, I don't want the baby birds to come in.
Okay.
I thought when he said I don't want to be caught, it was being caught like having mental problems, being caught with the bird, being caught with any of the stuff he's been doing.
Okay, well,
I didn't take it to be the bird, but I see what the court's saying.
And
you're right. If that opens the door to the bird, then I don't want to open the door to the bird.
There's an extensive discussion prior to that with a picture and about him dumping the bird's head in a bathroom, and I hope people will talk about it for the rest of the day because I want the attention. However, I do not want to be caught, as that will make me getting the 9mm impossible. He's not talking about getting caught with the plan to shoot up the school. He's talking about getting caught with putting the bird head in the bathroom and hurting the birds. So,
but it still addresses the fact that he has to be able to get access to that plan.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay,
So two are coming in,
one
is not.
Respond to this, but I also wonder. You say you want his statements. I have to find where my dad hid the 9mm, and I don't know where my dad hid it. It's hard for me to understand what that impeaches because we just saw a video where Mr. Crumbley is telling Mrs. Crumbley. She asks him specifically where was the gun, and he says, "I put it in the dresser." Right?
That's the other gun. That's the other two guns.
Okay, but there's also statements to the police about where. Isn't there a statement on the video to one of the police officers?
Yes, sir.
About where it was? Was that the armwear one?
Yeah, where she hid the bullets, Judge. Yeah.
No, she hid the bullets in the drawer with her jeans.
Okay, well, isn't there other statements in this trial about where the SIG was?
Yes, Judge. And it's
hid.
Lots of different statements. That's part of the case.
It says it was hidden.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, the bird, Jeffrey's staying out of this.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I misread that. I did not.
Okay. Well, it's hard to read, So anyway, what else do you want to say about this?
Judge, this is the people's issue here, is that well over a year ago, this issue, as well as a number of other issues that have been addressed the last few days, have been settled. It was June 27th of 22. It was appealed. The application to the Court of Appeals was filed on July the 18th of 2022. This is a pattern now that appears to be part of counsel's strategy. That's fine, but the people should be entitled to now prepare accordingly. So counsel has promised the jury that Jennifer Crumbley is going to testify. That's significant because that entire Facebook thread has come in. That's over 2,000 pages. I know from my memory there are a number of messages that will be very important in cross-examination. But because it's been sprung up mid-trial at the request for an unredacted copy of that, I want time to go through that before the defendant takes the stand so I can have every passage ready.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. You want to go through what?
The Facebook thread between
Okay.
Jennifer and James Crumbley.
Okay.
Your Honor, the prosecution moved to admit the whole thing. I have no objection. I'm ready to go with it.
Okay,
They moved to admit the whole thing in front of the jury. Now he's saying he's not ready for
Wait a
it.
minute, am I missing something? I'm talking about the journal right now.
Yes, this is the pattern, Judge, the pattern of strategy. And again, counsel's entitled to her own strategy.
Right.
However, we are entitled to prepare our witnesses accordingly, including the cross-examination of the defense witnesses. We responded to the defendant's motions with the journal in particular with a select number of passages that firmly fit within the instructions provided by this court.
And that was in response to her motion to eliminate.
Yes, Judge, and it's the court's order, not the defendant's order. So we're following the court's order when we prepare for trial. Again, if counsel wants to reverse course mid-trial as part of our strategy, that's her decision, but we need to have the time to prepare. So I'm asking for the court to give us the time to go through that Facebook thread, as the court gave defense counsel time to go through statements of her client's her own client's statements before Mr. Meloche testified.
Okay, you guys have gone off into Never Never Land here. I want to address the journal and then finish the lieutenant's testimony. I also want to make the sealed record during the time period that the jury is eating lunch. So at this moment, I'm going to indicate that I am very concerned about the journal. The journal is extremely disturbing in many, many, many ways. And I do not want to risk the door being open. But more importantly, these statements, I have to find where my dad hid the 9mm and where, I don't know where my dad hid it. I don't know if that it impeaches anything in this case, because there's already been plenty of evidence that he found it, right? There's evidence, the shooter found the gun, right? And there have been statements made by both the defendant and her husband to police in text, whatever it is, indicating that the gun was hidden in some way, obviously very poorly, but the gun was hidden in some way. The gun, as far as we know, was not sitting on the kitchen table. So I don't think this impeaches anything. I don't think it's contradictory. More importantly, I don't think under any circumstances any more of this journal should come in. And in the event that it was going to come in, I think that it should have been handled prior to the jury trial. I am trying to very much
prevent mistrial,
any potential appellate record, and I do not want to delve into this journal. I think that we do nothing more than hurt Mrs. Crumbley severely. It's highly prejudicial. So that's my ruling about the journal. If you have other issues you'd like to bring up, I'd appreciate if we did that when the jury's at lunch after we make the sealed record. Okay?
That's fine. We can finish
okay.
it.
Let's finish it. Okay.
Sealed record means we don't get to hear it. There'll be a record made off the air.
Okay. Their lunch arrived, so they're eating it. Okay.
Lunch is there. They're like,
so,
food's here. Never know where we're going to get our next meal.
Lieutenant, I'm going to indicate that you should not discuss your testimony with anyone because you're in the middle of your testimony.
Yes,
all right. So you can step down. Okay. I'm going to have. When did they start eating that? 2 minutes ago. So I'm going to indicate that they should be prepared to come back and hear testimony at 12:30. All right. In the meantime, you can step down.
Yes,
step down.
Sorry, Judge.
As I indicated to both of the attorneys as well, I think I sent had my assistant send an email. Yes, yeah. I think my assistant sent an early morning email to you about making a sealed record pursuant to Michigan Court Rule 8.119. Correct?
Yes.
It'll be brief. It'll be brief.
Yes.
All right. So because of that, I'm going to exclude everyone but the parties. We're going to do that briefly. Then I'm going to allow Ms. Crumbley to go downstairs and eat her lunch, and we're going to break until 12:30.
Just before we go off the record, I just wanted to complete the record that we were speaking.
Okay, go ahead.
So we've gone through this. I don't want to belabor the point. The issue that the people have is that it appears that counsel is trying to usurp the court's order without notice to the people, and that makes it impossible.
Okay, start over with this issue, because I was talking about the journal, and then you start telling me. So start over. Okay.
Thank you, Judge. The journal appears to be a pattern of strategy, which is without notice, mid-witness, shifting from what the court has already ordered to what counsel chooses to be convenient. And again, if that's trial strategy, that's trial strategy. But we have the court's order, not the defendant's order. And I don't believe it is appropriate for any party to usurp a court's order. And I also don't think it's appropriate that the people will have to respond off the cuff. I want to make sure that our witnesses are prepared.
Okay.
I want to make sure the materials necessary for cross-examination are prepared as well.
Okay, so the issue right now is the numerous Facebook communications between Mrs. Crumbley and Mr. Crumbley. That's the issue. That came in.
And Your Honor,
that's the piece of evidence.
Okay.
Within that piece of evidence, there are a number of issues to explore.
Okay.
Within that piece of evidence, it includes items that defense counsel had previously sought to exclude, and this court did in fact exclude. So that was the discussion that we had when Mrs. Crumbley was placed on the record. And she said under oath that it was her decision upon consultation with her attorney,
I'm not sure if the judge
knowing
will allow
that
this.
we could cross-examine. I just want to make sure that people are given the opportunity to review all of those 2,000 messages or 2,000 pages of messages appropriately before that cross-examination begins.
Your Honor, I just want to point out that the prosecution moved to admit the entire thing in front of the jury. So I believe if I objected, it would look like Mrs. Crumbley is hiding materials, and we've taken the trial strategy actually based on their trial strategy, bring it all in.
Okay.
And so when Mr. Keese...
It was a redacted copy.
Okay, I don't
But listen,
understand. I don't
when-
understand why we're he's taking a trip down memory lane. The whole thing came in already.
Right, it came
Right.
in, but I'm saying he asked for it. That was days ago, and I'll tell you what.
And then you agreed to it.
I did, and since that time, I've read the whole thing and I'm ready to go with it. What
Okay.
he's saying is that he's not ready to go with it, even though he moved to admit it, and even though it was days ago that he moved to admit
Just
it.
to correct the record, we moved for a redacted copy and for counsel to specify exactly what portion is redacted in accordance with your order,
And
Judge.
the next day I got back to them, which was days
I'm
ago,
going to
and
ask
I
you to keep your
said,
voice down because the walls are paper thin and the jury can hear you.
I got back to them the day after, and I said, we're not asking for any redactions. They said, fine. We made a record with Mrs. Crumbley, no redactions.
Okay, when is this going to come up anyway? How far are we going to get after Lieutenant Willis?
I guess it depends on how often this comes up. And this is why I bring it to the court's attention that...
This will come up when Mrs. Crumbley testifies, if she does, right?
Certainly.
Okay, is that the only time?
Well, I brought up the pattern to the court's attention because it does appear to be a pattern. The only reason I bring it to the court's attention now and our objection to that is because it appears to be a continual theme. So I want to bring it to the court's attention now, and I want a record made of it. That's why I bring it up now.
Okay, well, you can't admit something and then unadmit something. There's no court rule that says you can do that, right? Okay.
No, it's the redacted portions. It's the portions within that would have been inadmissible prior to.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we said we still
We're letting it all hang out.
We're letting it all hang out.
Okay.
And I don't want any redactions because I think it makes it. Mr. Keese has made it look like if we put redactions in there, we're hiding stuff.
I
So
don't
I'm
even know
not.
why we're talking about this.
We
The
shouldn't
whole
be.
record came in. It is in evidence. It is fair game. Okay? All right. That's
You're
what we're doing.
With respect to the sealed record, I just like to rely on my written pleadings.
Okay. Well, you probably are, but I'm going to make a record of those because there are privileged conversations between the shooter and a therapist in those pleadings, and I'm going to make a record about that is sealed because I am. So, all right. So, yeah, I'm throwing everybody out.
We're getting kicked out of court, guys.
Recording stopped.
Recording stops. Now it's
This
time.
will be on the record.
Oh yes.
This will be on the record, but not for us. We can hear a little audio here. And now it's gone. All right, so everything is turned off here. We're going to keep listening just a little bit, see if we get some audio back. But the judge is going to make a ruling. She says she's making a rule based on Michigan Supreme Court Rule 8.119, which is records and reports. Duties, let's see. Let's go back here. Duties of clerks. So these are the sealed records that we're talking about. I'm sorry.
Created by EJF.
Created by EJF. Welcome. What's on your mind right now? I think we're going to go to lunch. First of all, we're going to go to lunch, but I don't know how long the lunch is going to be.
Dogs would be happy.
Go ahead. Are you there?
For lunch, yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
I wanted to bring up a point that I don't think I've heard before mentioned with us. That as a mother, I felt this.
EJF, you're cutting in and out a lot. It's dropping long parts of your sentences, and I think we lost. I think we're losing you altogether. We can't hear anything. We're gonna have to try a new connection. That one's not working. I apologize. Betsy, thank you for the victim. Never forget. Thank you very much. Appreciate the the flowers there in chat, Betsy. Let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to build our new stream. And the first person on the new stream in chat obviously wins the internet. But I don't know when this one's going to end. We are going to go to lunch, but I don't know when the next one starts. Did anyone hear? Judge said 12:30. That means 45 minutes. That means in half an hour we're going to be back. So I'm going to schedule a new stream for that. We'll point to this new one so you don't get lost coming back. So we're going to continue watching this with the same friends we've been watching with all along, which is wonderful. Appreciate you guys doing that. So the new stream is set up right now, and somebody over there probably has already won the internet, and we're gonna watch that. Oh, it looks like Adam Nusky won the internet over there. Let's see if I can pin him. So when we come back from lunch, we're going to, I think I pinned the right guy. Let's see. Oh, I got Golden Girl, sorry, that's the wrong one. Hang on, replace pin message. There we go. Golden Girl came in second. All right, so we're gonna go to lunch here. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back at 12:15 or maybe a little bit earlier, especially if court has some motion or anything happens. No backsies, says Greeners. I'm sorry. So it was going so fast. I clicked the wrong one. The new stream, you'll have to refresh the live and it will work. If you guys like watching this court, if you like what I do with the audio, boosting things, making it clear, taking out the noise, the conversation, the commentary, everything else. If you don't like it, I apologize. I can't make everybody happy, but we try to make most of you happy. If you like it, please click the subscribe button. We'd love for you to become a subscriber. It's free. And then we'd love for you to ring the bell and join us when we go live again this afternoon with the rest of the trial for today. It's always going to be spicier and spicier in this trial until we get to the ending. Just crazy. Good stuff. I love the lawyering. I love the arguments being made in court. I don't like it being made in front of the jury. That still grates on my nerves just a tiny bit. But we've got just under half an hour for lunch. While the judge makes this ruling, the jury's eating right now. We're going to come back and have the second half of court. Oh man, defense is not playing by the rules. This is it's interesting. The judge ruled nothing. Nothing's allowed in from the journal, and that surprised me. I thought she was going to allow some of it in, but the journal is so bad that even the defense admits if anything more comes in, it would be very bad for the defendant. So I think they're okay with it. Thank you all for making this the best place to watch true crime. Thank you very much, Stuart.IRL. Thank you. Good to have you here with us at Blue Courthouse as well. Matthew Harris, I think you dropped a new video today. Is that correct? I think Matthew dropped a new video over on his channel. That might be a good thing to watch during the break. Let's see. This one's live. That one's upcoming. I can't see from here, but possibly. If you did, I'll have to check it out. We're going to return shortly. If you're not able to join us, if for some reason you're across the pond and you need to sleep because it's late at night and you've got things to do in the morning, I understand. We miss you. We're going to go on without you, unfortunately. But tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone. Make their day just a little bit better. And please stay safe till we go live again in about half an hour, just under half an hour. The live is up already. I'm pointing to it when we end here. You guys be kind to each other. We'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye.
Bring the jury.